Welcome to D'Arville. What a setting for leg 3 of the 2018 Event Rider Masters Series, with this incredible castle offering the backdrop for all 3 phases of competition. With a lineup that includes 5 former leg winners, both previous series champions, and 11 different nations in total represented, it is a wide open competition, and we won't know the winner until the last horse crosses the finish line tomorrow afternoon. The sheet that overlooks the lake here, looking on to the castle, the indoor arena just to the right-hand side of your screens there, that's where riders will be making their final preparations before heading up the chute into this absolutely incredible international arena here. We've had glorious sunshine to start the day, and the scene is absolutely set for what is going to be 2 incredible days of competition. Such strength in depth in the field, and we can't wait to share all of the action with you. Joining me in the studio for the dressage, Sam Griffiths, Olympic medalist, and also Derm Byrne from Echo Ratings. Sam, delighted to have you with us. Looking forward to hearing all your thoughts on the competition.
Oh, listen, it's great to be here, and what a glorious day to have to start the competition. So, no, I'm really looking forward to it.
Looking forward to getting started, Derm. We're looking forward to getting all the Echo Rating stats as well.
Good morning, Nicole. Yeah, I think it's going to be fascinating. I think the fact that we've so many big names coming so early is what's going to bring, I think, real excitement to the early stages of this morning.
Well, we're looking forward to getting started. But before we do get started here at leg 3, let's just remind ourselves of how all of the action unfolded a couple of weeks ago in Wiesbaden. Well, 2 legs in the series, 6 in total this season have taken place, and Tim Price leads the way with 2 counting scores so far, 36 points on the board. 5 of the best 6 legs for each of our competitors head towards that series standing, so all to play for this weekend. Oliver Townend picked up that 2nd place finish in Wiesbaden to put his first points of the 2018 season on the board, and he's looking to add to those this weekend. Laura Collett, another rider here this weekend that can really climb up that series leaderboard. So some really key contenders coming forward throughout the competition this weekend that are going to make a real difference in terms of the series. So Derm, let's just take a moment to look at that. Tim Price is leading. Is he going to be leading by the end of the weekend?
Yeah, I would think he's definitely got a big shout. And it's actually not. It depends on how you approach it. So one win or one second place, as you've seen with Oliver Kilnebrid and Evo, brings you right up, 28 points on the board. Very different how Tim has reached it, and you can see that when you see the prize money attached to what everybody has won so far. Tim's actually done it with a 13th place and a 5th place. So it's very different ways. What he needs to do probably to maintain a lead is stay somewhere within the top 10. Absolutely very achievable for him. The big threat, very obviously, Oliver Townend, big favourite for this competition. So yeah, I would suggest between Tim and Oliver to bring your attention to a couple of other ones. Laura Collett, she came up closer to the bottom of our leaderboard there. 24 points already on the board. She's here with London 52, not an experienced horse, but again, can they just keep those points racking up? You mentioned it, 5 of 6. So what this is going to be about is consistency. One final one I would bring your attention to, Chris Burton, Polystar. 19 points at the moment. Again, can they keep that system rolling? Can they stay in contention? This is a key leg in terms of keeping your momentum rolling as you go into those final 3 legs and build up points.
Well, we're looking forward to seeing how all of the action unfolds here in D'Arville. Sam, it's your first visit. What are your thoughts so far?
Oh, listen, I really love the place. It's quite undulating, so that makes it really interesting for the cross country. But it's not too steep either. So yeah, I mean that sets it up really well for the cross country. As you can see, the facilities here are first class, and I'm really looking forward to competing here.
Well, we can't wait to see you in the dressage a little bit later on with Happy Times. But it's not just us here in the studio. Let's go and say a very good morning to Hannah. Hannah, what a weekend we have in store.
Oh, Nicole, it is going to be fabulous. The sun is shining and the stage is set. But the thing that strikes me most about D'Arville here in Belgium is the facilities. They are absolutely world class. Just over here, we've got some stables for some of the local horses. We've got the horse walker behind me down the hill. And of course, at the moment where some of the action is going on is the indoor school where the final preparations are taking place for some of our first dressage combinations this morning. But where the competition happens is just at the top of this hill. Now, dressage, a really important phase, and of course the phase that's going to kick off all the competition this weekend, and it's to music, so it is really exciting and really engaging. It is a stunning venue here, and somebody that knows more about this venue than anybody else is Barbara de Liederkerke, who is the event director, but also this is your family's estate, Barbara. It is fabulous here.
Thank you very much. Yes, we are very happy to live here because I agree it's an amazing place.
And it's been in your family for 400 years.
Exactly. My husband's family, to be clear. But yes, it's a very, very nice place for such an event.
And what I love about this venue is it's the home for Lara and Kai and all of their horses. So it's such an eventing hub in Europe, isn't it?
Yes, exactly. Yes, we feel horses everywhere here. We love horses, and we are happy to make shows, event shows. We make 2 shows every year, and but this one is the best we ever did.
And of course, the first time Event Rider Masters has been here. The field is magnificent. Some fantastic competitors. You must be delighted to have them here.
Yes, we are very, very happy, very proud to host the ERM for the first time in Belgium, and to have chosen us. We are very, very excited and very proud of that.
Well, we're delighted to be here, Barbara. I can tell you it is a magnificent setting. And in just a few minutes, the competition is going to get underway. Just behind us, Izzy Taylor, first up.
Well, we can't wait to get started. And today it is all about the dressage, the first of the 3 phases. Just to explain to us, because this year the FEI brought in a new scoring system. We've seen it a few times already. What are we looking out for?
The big thing, in simple terms, you're looking out for is you're going to see lower scores. What was a 45 in the old scoring system is now a 30. So when we used to talk about sub-40s, Nicole, as the real mark of being a challenger, that's now going to be probably sub-28 level. So the multiplier has brought everyone much closer together. That's probably the biggest effect you'll see, but you'll also see lower scores.
Well, we're looking forward to seeing how the dressage pans out today, but eventing really is the triathlon of equestrian sport, and all 3 phases very much play their part.
Eventing is a triathlon of equestrian sports, where the athletes and their horses are tested across the 3 basic disciplines. Phase 1, dressage. Phase 2, show jumping. Phase 3, cross country. Only perfect consistency across all of the disciplines will result in victory. Scoring is simple. The closest to 0 wins. Riders need to start off with a good score in the dressage phase, and then in the next 2 jumping phases will do their best to add no further penalties to that dressage score. Dressage. The opening phase of eventing competition tests the harmony between the horses and riders. The horses must display contentment and willingness to perform to the ideals of dressage training, which promote a unique juxtaposition of powerful energy and relaxed gracefulness. During the dressage test, the judges scrutinize every single aspect of both horse and rider as they perform the individual movements of the routine. The stage is then set for the jumping phases of the competition. It's time to up the ante in the show jumping phase. The world's best must now swap style and grace for power and precision, as the second phase of the Event Rider Masters competition tests the technical jumping skills of horse and rider. Penalties accumulate when fences fall, the horse refuses to jump at the first attempt, or the combination completes the course slower than the optimum time. The goal? A clear round, which adds 0 penalties to the rider's dressage score, boosting the chance of a place on the Event Rider Masters podium. Each Event Rider Masters competition culminates in the holy grail of eventing, the cross country. Riders and horses must adapt themselves yet again, this time for stamina, speed and pure courage. Huge jumps, challenging climbs and descents on a course of up to 4 kilometres stand in between the horses, riders and Event Rider Masters glory. The clear round goal once again is to jump clear and within the optimum time. The horses and riders run in reverse order of the leaderboard, with this final phase reaching fever pitch as the top 10 take to the course. When the final combination crosses the line, the champion is crowned.
Well, as we've said, today it is all about the style and the grace of the dressage, the first of the 3 phases. And I have to admit, my excitement levels are pretty high because it is the first opportunity we're going to get to see in the Event Rider Masters. Thomas Carlyle and Upsilon, who set the Event Rider Masters record dressage score at Barbary last year. First time we see them in 2018, Derm. Can they challenge their own record?
Oh, can they challenge it? Absolutely. I would suggest it's probably so it was 30.8 was what they scored at Barbary. That's the record. That translates now to a 20.5. We have seen people score below that recently, but for me, probably not. I think probably 23 is where about they are at the moment. We'll wait and see. I don't think they'll even lead, Nicole. I think it'll be Kilnabrid and Evo and Oliver Townend who are going to lead overnight.
Okay, well, let's talk about that because we've mentioned Oliver already in terms of the series. He's a pretty big contender here.
Oliver.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. Primarily because of his strength across all 3 phases. I told you on the preview show he'd never knocked a pole with Oliver. 10 rounds in a row clear. 14 rounds overall now clear, obviously, with Andrew Nicholson before Oliver. Kilnabrad and Evo will not knock a pole, Nicole. He will deliver. We saw a very, very big test, came very close to the record at Wiesbaden. I would expect their strength across every phase means that Oliver is the favourite, absolutely.
Well, a few of the big favourites. But Sam, you come forward with your faithful 4-star campaigner, Happy Times. He's travelled over well. You're looking forward to it?
Yeah, no, he's in really good form. But, I mean, this is such a good field, so I'm going to have to be on top of my game to really trouble the top guys.
Who are you most worried about?
Do you know, I'm going to throw one in here for Dum, is Clark Johnson. I mean,
okay.
He's come in, he's a bit of a dark horse, and, you know, I've seen him go. He's a really competitive rider. I think you'll see him right up there.
Well, I think we'll be watching him very closely. Very excited to hear from him. And actually, he's one of the key contenders that is down there talking to Hannah.
Yeah, thanks, Nicole. Well, I am in the mood for celebrating, and we've got 3 very good reasons to celebrate right behind me. First up, Thomas Carlyle, Upsilon. We're celebrating because you're back, Thomas. We're delighted to have you back.
Yeah, I'm thrilled to have him back competing. I mean, he's given me a really good feeling yesterday in the warm-up, so I'm confident. But yeah, can't wait to get going.
I mean, it's no secret, Upsilon is one of everybody's favourite horses. What is it that gives him that magic? You hold the current record for the lowest dressage score.
It's pure talent, and the horse is serious, and he's got so much ability, such a good head with him on top of all that to make him so rideable and to be a real partner. And that, I guess that makes a potion that's success, and no, he's a real pleasure.
And they've just been talking in the studio about whether you can beat that dressage score this weekend. What do you think?
Well, the horse has been doing a lot of homework. It's one of his first times out into this sort of atmosphere. He might be a bit too fresh of a run or two, but I mean, he's moving well, he's obedient, so I'm always going to give it a go, but it might not be for this time.
Okay, we'll keep our fingers crossed for you, Thomas. Janelle, we're celebrating with you because you are just coming here off the back of your second consecutive 4-star win. Congratulations.
Look, I can't quite believe it myself still. If you'd told me in January I'd be here with a little boy and 2 4-star wins under my belt, I wouldn't have believed you. So enjoy it while it lasts. We know it's sport, but I'm incredibly lucky to be here.
And Janelle, we've seen the magic in Le Moulin and at Badminton. We haven't quite seen it on the Event Rider Masters this year. Is this the weekend that's going to change?
Well, look, we saw it at Wiesbaden and I had a few issues here. So I'm not going to be greedy this year. I think Tim's leading the series. I'm quite happy for him to do a bit more work here. But look, I'm a competitor and I'll certainly be having a go.
Okay, well, very best of luck this weekend. And the third reason we're celebrating is Clark Johnson is here from New Zealand in Europe. Clark, it's fantastic to have you here. We're all so excited. You're on a mission this year, aren't you? World Equestrian Games.
Thank you. It's great to be here. That's my big goal for the year. And this competition, Event Rider Masters, is one of the key sort of building events for that. And I'm really excited to be here.
Now, we've just been hearing from Sam Griffiths, who's in the commentary box with Nicole and Derm, and he reckons you're the one to watch this weekend.
Well, that's very kind. Well, I'll certainly be giving it my best shot, and my horse is feeling in great form, so you never know, but it's a long way to go yet.
Okay, Clark, we're very happy to have you here. We're very happy to have all three of you here. It is a fantastic field. 9 of the world's top 20 competing here, and Izzy Taylor just behind us, about to kick off all the action.
Well, we are just a couple of moments away, so let's take a look at the running order. The seeded dressage and the Equi Ratings ones to watch for us.
I think you're probably looking at Laura Collett likely to come out on top of that group. I would suggest Burra Pennies is the other one that I would be looking at, and of course Michael Young, but just look at the names on the left hand side. Very rarely you see all those names starting off. As we move into the next bracket, I think probably first one out, Nicole, Karen Donkers and Jalapeno. A very good record, likely to be low 30s I would suggest, and to probably lead. Sam, you're in that group. 30.8 from 22 runs is your average. That's your score to beat. We get interesting again next time out. Your leader is going to come up. Tim Price, King Cooley rising, and also Sarah Cohen-Treason likely to break into the 20s I would suggest. And finally, just take a look at that list. We're starting off with the record holder, Tom Carlile and Upsilon, but it could be Oliver to beat him.
Well, we are about to get underway here. Dressage Day, leg 3 of the 2018 Event Rider Masters series. And Izzy Taylor is the one to get us started. She brings forward Jocelyn Riley's Direct Tullyoran Cruise. Izzy ranked 7th in the world at the moment. And this a horse that is just 10 years of age by friend. Actually wouldn't be the most experienced of Izzy's string. But Izzy, another that is looking for good, solid series points, because she already has 28 points on the board from her first couple of runs. Now, in the studio with us, Turnburn from Equi Ratings, and also Sam Griffiths, Australian Olympic medalist. Sam, what are your early thoughts on Izzy's test?
Well, Izzy's such a competitor, and she, is presenting this test really well. You can see the horse is just a little green in spots, and across the medium trot that just lost a little bit of rhythm, and I think that's sort of a strength thing, really. But listen, I'm sure Izzy will be eking out every point she can.
That's half the battle, isn't it? Riders of Izzy's class and experience, they don't leave even a half mark in the arena.
and that's why this series is so close. I mean, so many really experienced competitors on some super horses. So yeah, you can't give away a point here.
Certainly starting off with a very solid start, because trending in the early 30s with plenty of 6.57s. Now, Derm, if a rider was to score a 7 from every judge for every movement, that would equate to a score of 30, is that right?
Correct.
70%?
Correct.
Okay.
Yes, and listen, now I guess as riders, that's a real benchmark for us. You know, obviously we try and push for the 8s and 9s, but sometimes these days these judges aren't quite as generous, particularly in the start of the day. And a lot of what these tests are about is not giving away points as much as winning them. So if you make one mistake, then it can really quickly drag your average down. So so a lot of it's about not giving away
A
marks.
clear round in the dressage?
I guess that's one way of thinking about it. You know, but I guess the thing for dressage is you can try and really win points, whereas in the jumping you're trying to guard things. So, but yeah, you know, you've got to have that mix of attacking your dressage but not making any mistakes.
Now, this is the 3-star A test. So at 3-star level, you have two options: the A-star test, the A test, and the B test. This is the A test, which has the halt and the rein back and a little bit less walk, perhaps, than the other test.
Yeah, you know, it's a nice test to ride. You're coming to this counter movement, which is reasonably difficult, particularly because you have a flying change sort of towards the end of this movement. But you know, it's a nice test to ride. You go in, and the first movement you really do is a medium trot, which us riders always think we're pretty good doing a medium trot across the diagonal. So, but yeah, no, it's a good test to ride, and look, there's Izzy's just done a lovely change. So, yeah, I mean, again, she's looking really smart.
Well, Izzy certainly getting some really solid marks across the board. This horse has actually only completed one 3-star in her career, and that was at Chatsworth a little bit earlier on this year. Finished in 4th place there, so good solid form at an early stage of the horse's career at this level.
Correct, Nicole. And they did do their dressage test at Bramham as well. So we've two CIC 3-star tests to look at. 35.3 at Bramham and 36.9 at Chatsworth. So way ahead at the moment, almost 4 marks ahead of her two previous rounds.
You know, and it's always, when you're first in the arena, it's always difficult to get those big marks. But, you know, like I was saying, she hasn't given away any marks here, and she's doing a very tidy test.
Well, certainly plenty of 7s creeping in throughout the scores. And second of those changes.
Yeah, not quite as good as her first, but you know, again, she's just keeping things nice and smooth, and so yeah, it'll be interesting to see how they mark that.
I mean, this horse, it wouldn't be the most experienced, Sam, so perhaps competing abroad for one of the, not frequently in her career, is a big ask, and Izzy's giving her a really nice experience. She's going to have enjoyed that time in the arena.
Yeah, I think so, and this is a horse I think will just come out better for this. You know, it's not the biggest atmosphere here, but still, you know, there is enough of an atmosphere for a young horse.
Well, our first competitor, Izzy Taylor Direct, Tullyoran Cruise, trending in the early 30s. I think Izzy will be reasonably pleased with that. Lots to like from this young horse. And again, lots to look forward to in terms of points on the series leaderboard. Izzy currently sitting in 4th on the series leaderboard with 28 points on the board. Picked up with that podium finish with Call Me Maggie May at Chatsworth a little bit earlier on this year. And of course, Director General completing in the top 20 in Wiesbaden.
We have got a problem.
Christopher Forsberg Christopher comes forward with Mike Clean's at Hippo's Sapporo. Combination we actually saw at Wiesbaden a couple of weeks ago, and they went really well there, jumped clear cross country and actually finished in 14th place. Christopher, hugely experienced, only 27 years of age, but actually back at Burley in 2010, he finished inside the top 20, so he's been competing at the highest level for many years. Actually represented Sweden at the Senior European Championships in 2011 as well, and one that I'm sure Fredrik Bergendorf, Swedish eventing head coach, will be watching very carefully. Well, 29.7, just seeing a score there for Direct Talioran Cruise on our screens. We'll get that confirmed for you. But Christopher will be second to go here. Leg 3 of the 2018 Event Rider Masters Series here in D'Arville. And in the studio with me, Sam Griffiths and Dan Byrne as well. Sam, first we've seen out of... well, Izzy was in a snaffle. I was going to say first we've seen so far, but we've only seen one in a double bridle.
Yeah, I think riders these days prefer to try and ride in a snaffle bridle, but that's not to say that that you won't see more riders in doubles. But listen, yeah, you'll see a few. But Christopher, he's very tall, and that makes him a very elegant rider. So it'll be interesting to see how his test progresses from here.
Coming across the arena. This is a medium trot, the first movement, isn't it?
Yes, it is. So where the horse just has to lengthen the stride and also lengthen their body a little bit. And what we're trying to do as riders is just keep it really smooth in and out of that transition between the working trot and the medium trot. And just trying to keep things smooth but also expressive.
Well, that score showing now for Izzy Taylor of 33.8, which is perhaps a little bit more along the lines of what we were looking for. And I think she'll be fairly pleased with that, Derm.
Yeah, absolutely. She'll be pleased. It was actually interesting. We're playing our game with SAP and Event Rider Masters this weekend on Stacks. It's available in the App Store. But the question we asked was, would they score less than 33.5? So they were very close to that. That was their PB. That came at Summerford Park in the 2-star class there. So very close to a PB for them. I think they'll be pleased.
Now, looking in that halt at A, Sam, for a square halt where all 4 legs, you can almost barely see anything between them.
Yeah, you know, Christopher, he's just a little bit of abrupt into that. As you can see, it's not quite, it wasn't quite square. And, you know, again, in the rider, we want to try and make it dead square so that the judges can't mark us down. And then, of course, very smoothly into the rein back. So, yeah, they're the sort of little mistakes you try to eliminate. But, you know, when you're in the ring and you've got to string all these movements together, you know, sometimes it's not so easy.
Is that half of the battle? You know, at home you can do each of the movements individually, but all of a sudden you're putting them together and the intensity is where it becomes especially challenging.
Yes, it is. I guess it also depends a little on how you train. I mean, if you train in quite an intense way and string the movements together, then you can get really familiar in riding that way. So, you know, it does depend a little bit on how you train, but also bringing the horses into this atmosphere. Sometimes they can just feel a bit different in the ring as they do normally.
Well, this combination trending at the moment 32.5. Actually, their average is 32.7, which seeds them 26th in the Event Rider Masters. So the Dressage in ERM is seeded. So that means that up to the horse's last 5 tests is at this level, and they have to have completed the event is averaged, and then that gives them an average, splits the field into 4 groups, and so we're currently seeing Group D, then it'll be Group C, then Group B, then Group A. Well, Hippo's Sapporo 32.1 at the moment. Plenty of 7, 7.5 and an 8 in there as well, Sam.
Yeah, his canter works really nice, and you know, it could show a little bit more suppleness. But that's been really critical. You know, he's, yeah, I mean, he's doing some really nice work here. Again, it's, you know, it's nice and smooth, and you know, that's what I'm looking for when I'm watching the tests, and that's what I'm trying to achieve when I ride. So, you know, again, you can sort of see he's nice and smooth into the half pass. His angle just varied a little bit there, but again, it's really quite nice.
The horse is looking really rideable and relaxed and sort of waiting for Chris to tell him what he wants next.
Yeah, the horse is really listening to him. You can see he sometimes just gets a little rigid in his neck. That's perhaps why he's got him in the double bridle. And yeah, there he's just done a really nice flying change. But it just goes to show that the standard. I mean, here's Christopher in the bottom group of the ERM on the seedings, and yet he's doing a super test. Perhaps just a little bit abrupt into the last halt.
Happy it's over.
But yeah.
And now, so the bell has rung, and he's coming round to do that. Did he halt in the incorrect place, or?
No, I think he's forgotten his. You have a medium and extended canter at the end, and so he's forgotten a movement. So he won't be too disappointed because that wasn't the greatest halt that he's done.
So he gets to. So that will cost him 2 marks from each judge.
Yes, it will. Yeah, so that will cost him. And like I was saying, that you don't want to give away any points. So. Good, there we go. And that's a little smoother, perhaps not as straight and as square as you'd like, but definitely smoother into his last halt. So I think he'll be kicking himself that he's forgotten that. So easy enough to do. Usually in this test, if you're going to forget the movement, it's the halt and rein back after the second extended trot, and that's a movement that's usually forgotten. But yeah, that's frustrating. He'll be kicking himself about that.
Well, we'll be watching for his score because those 6 marks, the 2 from each judge, will be deducted by our judges at the end of the test. So we'll confirm that for you in a moment. But actually, Sam, there was a huge amount to like from that test.
Yeah, some really nice work, and scoring how he usually scores. So that's, and a really consistent test. Like I say, he'll just be kicking himself that if he got his test. Because that'll be costly.
Well, a score for Izzy Taylor, our first in of 33.8. We're just waiting for Christopher Forsberg's score. But in the meantime, let's go to Hannah and hear from our Pathfinder.
Yeah, thanks, Nicole. I'm here with Izzy Taylor. She was first out this morning on a relatively new horse to her and definitely a new horse to us, Direct Teleoran Cruise. 33.8, Izzy. You're quite happy with that?
Yeah, for her, that's good enough. It's her first time going anywhere with any excitement. So pleased enough with what she did. She didn't blow her lid. She stayed with me. She was a little bit nervous and tense, but that was kind of to be expected.
It's quite a chilled atmosphere here this morning, though, isn't it? So probably not a bad thing for you guys.
Yeah, no, it's nice and quiet this morning. There's not too many people about, so for her it was good. It's always irritating being first, but having quite a few horses, it's something you get used to, and you have to make it happen. You can't change it.
And what do you think of D'Arville?
Yeah, beautiful, absolutely stunning venue, unbelievable, proper job.
Okay, well, very best of luck for the rest of the weekend, Izzy.
Thank you.
Well, Izzy makes a very good point there, Sam. I'm sure you've been first in a number of times in your career, and you just have to get on with it, don't you?
Yeah, like I was saying earlier, sometimes the judges are a bit reluctant to throw out those big marks when you're first in the arena. But then the advantage you have is quite often the atmosphere isn't as big, and if your horse is a little tense, that can play into your hands. So there are pros and cons. I think you'd find most riders would like to try and go later in the draw, just to try and get those little better marks in the dressage. But I think later in the draw that the judges are more willing to give out those bigger marks.
Well, you'll be hoping a little bit later on when Happy Times comes forward. You're due in the arena at 10:52 Central European time, so at 9:52 British summertime. Next to go, though, it is Katja Weimann. Katja coming forward with BP Cosmopolitan. And this is a combination who actually made their Event Rider Masters debut in Wiesbaden, finished inside the top 20 there in 19th position, went clear cross country over Rudiger Schwartz's track. And actually Rudiger Schwartz, the course designer here in D'Arville again this weekend. And Katja has actually been based on the continent, came over from Australia in the middle of 2017. And this is a horse that was actually bred and produced by Katja herself. And that must be quite some feeling to bring a horse up to this level that you've had throughout an entire career. And 15 years of age now, BP Cosmopolitan.
Yeah, that is quite a nice entry that she did. She'll be quite pleased with that. Unfortunately, just stepped back a little bit. Whether the judges will pick up on that, but you know, we could see that on the screen. And Kutch has been working really hard on the flat, and you know, hopefully she can do a good test. Like you're saying, this is a homebred horse, and although you can't see on the screens, he does have some scars on his side. And she was saying the day he was born, he got himself caught in a fence.
Oh, blimey.
And of course, we're saying, well, he must be a good horse to do that then. But you know, it must be a great thrill to be there when it's born, and then come over to Europe and be competing in a competition like this.
Absolutely. And Katja competed up to 4-star level in Australia. I think you say she's been training hard in the dressage, training with Gareth Hughes, who, am I right in saying, helps the Australians? Yeah,
so Gareth is involved with the Australian team, and you know, we've found him immensely helpful. You know, I'd be interested to see our stats from before we train with him to after. You know, I'm sure that Aussies have got better for it. And so Katja, although she's based on the continent and Gareth's in the UK, she does come over a bit and in part of team training and gets involved with that. And yeah, I think it's starting to show now. You know, she's getting some good marks.
Trending around the early 30s at the moment, 33.8, so the same as the first to go. Easy Taylor, Direct Allure and Cruise. Christopher Forsberg has gone out in front. We're just waiting for his score to be finalised, having had those marks reviewed after his error, of course. So we'll get that confirmed for you as soon as possible, but he will be our leader at this early stage of the competition.
You know, Katja's horse is nice and relaxed there, and so that's good to see. Good and nice and directly into canter. So and then, like I say, once you start your canter, you sort of ride into some quite tough moves. You've got to be very straight down that centre line, and then try and be smooth into that half pass. And again, you know, as a rider, we're looking just to keep things smooth and flowing, but also showing a little bit of expression.
And the counter here, where they're on the other leading leg, is the unnatural way of going, isn't it?
Yeah, I'm never a fan of counter. Actually, I don't find it a particularly nice movement to watch, but you know, it's a sign of good training, and it's a move we use a lot in training. It helps to get the horses supple and really obedient. So, you know, I think it's good that they've modified the test recently, and we're doing less and less counter, particularly in the 4-star test, which I'm in favour of, because, like I say, I don't find it a particularly nice movement to watch. And, you know, it's quite a tough movement to ride because the horses really have to stay with you. Good. Again, you know, she's gone really smoothly into that. So, and so it's a bit seamless, the transition between countering down the centre line and into a half pass. So, yeah, I'd hope that would score quite well.
She's certainly getting very solid marks so far. And actually, we've seen very solid marks. An 8 in there for that half pass left. Future as a judge, maybe?
Whoa. Listen, I think that'd be a tough one being a judge. You know, as a competitor rider, we're forever complaining about the judging. Yeah, I think they've got a tough job, particularly in the eventing. The horses are just so diverse and so different, and it's not easy what they've got to do and comparing everyone.
Well, we'll introduce you to our ground jury this weekend who are in charge of the competition at C. Dr. Ernst Topp from Germany is president of our ground jury. Van der Stewart situated at M from Ireland, and Nathalie Carrière from France at E. So all situated at different points of the arena. But Katja Weimann and BP Cosmopolitan, who were top 20 on their Event Rider Masters debut a few weeks ago in Wiesbaden, finishing their test as a score confirmed for Christopher Forsberg, Hippo's Sapporo, of 30.5. So that is the benchmark that is set at the moment. That is the score to beat, and I think Chris will be pretty pleased with that. But Katja, on the whole, Sam, lots to like from her test, and I think she'll be reasonably happy.
Yeah, I think she'll be happy with that. You know, the horse is a good jumper, and so she'll be hoping to move up after the dressage on the jumping phase. So, yeah, no, she'll be happy with that.
Well, her average is actually 35.3, so she's looking to go ahead of her average. Is it a bit of a, so obviously it's a World Equestrian Games year, Sam, but you're out here with a few Australians. Is there a nice team spirit in the camp?
Yes, there is. Yeah. You know, we're all competitive. We all like to win and beat each other, but you know, there's a good camaraderie there. So, you know, it's always a pleasure to be part of the Australian team, and we all get along pretty well. So that always helps.
Always helps, always helps. But you still want to beat each other.
Well, I'm here with Christopher Forsberger, Hippo Sapporo, just after his dressage test. Christopher, you were very, very happy with that. You've got the Swedish team coach here. It's a big year for you guys, and it's a big night tonight with the football.
Yeah, of course, we need to win over the Germans, first of all. But I'm really happy for the dressage today. I made a little silly mistake in the end, but it didn't cost me that much. But he was really super and much better than Wiesbaden, so I'm really happy for him today.
Okay, well, we're hoping to get a better than a 14th than you did in Wiesbaden.
Yeah, definitely. We're aiming for the top 10.
Very best of luck, Christopher.
Thank you.
Well, you see on your screens a few moments ago the SAP spectator judging score. And if you want to get involved, if you fancy yourself as a bit of a judge as well, then you can do so by judging along. Just search for spectator judging in your app store, and you can judge along with each of the members of our ground jury as well. Well, now to come forward, it is Nils Trebe and Montina Four. Nils, who made his Event Rider Masters debut in Wiesbaden actually in 2017. That's the only time we've seen him in Event Rider Masters leg, but actually went very well, finished in 14th place and went back to Wiesbaden this year in the normal 3-star class and finished inside the top 10. Owned by Marcus Rosendahl, this a 10-year-old bear by Montendro. Wouldn't always, I think, count dressage as their favourite phase, Sam, but again, there's lots to jump here as well.
Yeah, I mean, the time on the cross country is going to be really difficult, so it's not purely a dressage competition, but you know that the quality of the competition here, you're going to want to be there or thereabouts after the dressage. And for Nils, you can just see there's a bit of tension, particularly at the start of his test, is creeping in, and so you know the judges have picked up on that already. And you know he's quite a big mover, this horse, and you know he's just struggling to just keep him contained. Again, you can just see he's a bit long in his halt, a bit of tension in the rein back. And so, you know, the judges are looking for things nice and calm and smooth, so they'll penalise him for that. You know, but again, you know, this horse is a nice mover. He could do some nice tests, some nice work. It's just tensions creeping in and spoiling the picture.
It's difficult, isn't it? You know, when you have a horse who gets tense in the arena, riding what is underneath you, it's very easy for us to sit here and say, but actually, you've got to ride what is underneath you.
You do, and sometimes you can go in the arena and they can be quite different to how they normally are. But you know, I think this is where you need over the years to build up a rapport with your horse, that they become confident with you and that they can trust you and that you can trust them. And so, yeah, you know, a lot of it's about relationship, and I think you'll see all the top horses and riders tend to have that relationship, and so tension's not such an issue.
Still plenty of sevens coming in, and the judges are using a range of marks so far, but still keeping that score certainly very respectable. They actually average 43.6, so he's trending well below his average, Sam.
Yeah, you know, like the gaits of this horse is, you know, the horse has really nice gaits and paces. But again, you can just see he's just got a little bit long in his canter. I think he's just trying to play it quite safe now. I would like just to see a little bit more collection of the horse, a little bit shorter in his body, and you can see he's just lacking a little bit of forwardness there, and the horse just nodding in the canter. So again, you want to just make a horse look smooth and try and sort of convince the judges that they would love to ride the horse. And you know, you do that by trying to make things look easy. And unfortunately, this horse is just looking, yeah, just a little tough, a little tense, and it, you know, definitely shows through in the contact.
Still getting plenty of solid marks with a 6.5 in there for that 3-loop serpentine. I imagine Nils wouldn't be overly keen on the counter-canter, and I think he'd be on your team there, Sam.
Yeah, again, you know, you can see he's sort of really cut the corner there, just trying to play it really, really safe. I think later on you'll see the riders showing the judges that the horses are well trained, that they can go deeper into the corner. But yeah, you know, he's just trying to keep it all quite safe.
But actually, there's a lot to be said for keeping it safe. You know, you keep those marks that you can get rather than pushing it a little bit further than you can get away with.
Yeah, if you push too much and your horse really blows up, well, that can be the end of your competition. Like I say, you want to be there or thereabouts after this first phase, because you know, I have to say, I think this is perhaps the strongest field I've seen in the ERM. You know, looking down the list, there could be 10 or 15 riders that you would not be surprised if they won it. You know, it's a really, really strong field.
Absolutely. Well, we've got plenty of action in store for you here on eventridermasters.tv. Nils Trebe-Montina 4 completing their test, and Nils actually rides this 10-year-old mare for Marcus Rosendahl. Nils actually medalled at young rider level, got a bronze back in 2013, and knows this mare really well, has produced her throughout her career. And as I say, they've been top 20 at Wiesbaden last year on their Event Rider Masters debut, and have been top 10 at 3-star level. So they'll be looking to climb the leaderboard in the jumping phases, and lots to look forward to with them. So some 4 combinations have completed here in D'Arville, leg 3 of the 2018 Event Rider Masters series, and a score in for BP Cosmopolitan Katja Weimann, 32.2. have gone into second at this early stage of the competition. We just get to see some of the highlights of Nils's test again. And actually, Sam, I think he's going to get a score that is below his average score by some three or so penalties. And there was a lot to like from that.
Yeah, like I was saying, the horse has naturally very good gaits. It was just spoilt by tension. That if he can keep his horse nice and calm, that he could score a lot better than that. But you know, that's going to take a lot of homework for him at home. If he kept working at it. But yeah, you know, horses have their own mind. It's, you know, nice to say it's to keep them nice and calm, but sometimes it's harder to do that.
It certainly is. Well, lots to look forward to, but it's time to go and talk to Hannah.
Thanks. Well, I'm here with Katja Weimann, who's just done her dressage test. Relatively pleased with that, Katja. You made your debut in Wiesbaden. We're loving having you here in D'Arville as well. How was it?
Yeah, I was pretty happy with him. Like, he's quite calm and everything, so just a little bit stiff sometimes, but did a nice test, no mistakes, so happy with him.
And what do you think of D'Arville? It's a fantastic venue, isn't it?
It's quite amazing. It's just really beautiful here, so I'm looking forward to the cross country.
One thing I want to know is, how does the atmosphere change? I mean, Wiesbaden was hectic, it was manic, it was very close, loads of people. Here seems very chilled. How do the horses adjust between the two?
I think it's probably, like, for a hotter horse, this is a nicer, much more calm event, and Wiesbaden was a little bit like, yeah, hectic. So I think for a horse that gets a bit hot, this is a really lovely event.
Okay, well, very best of luck for the rest of the weekend.
Thank you.
So we turn our attentions in just a moment. We said there'd be some big names coming up right off the first session of dressage, and this is one of them. Currently ranked number 6 in the world, it is the reigning Olympic champion Michael Young with Corazon. And this is the horse that actually made his Event Rider Masters debut in Wiesbaden, owned by Maria Stein, and actually finished 9th in Wiesbaden. 34.8 they scored in the dressage on that occasion. But we all know that Michael Young is an absolute master at producing young horses competing at the highest level. He was the first person actually to hold the World, European and Olympic titles at the same time. That was when he took his Olympic title in 2012 in London, and the only person to ever finish on his dressage score at 2 Olympic Games. In fact, he's the only person to have ever done it, and he's done it twice. That is with Le Biestatique Sam. This a slightly less experienced horse, Sam, in so much as only an 8-year-old, so only had a couple of runs at this level. But the man on board, you cannot discount him.
No, listen, there's not much he hasn't won. And, you know, he's a master of producing horses. And, you know, where Michael is so good, he just trains them so correctly. So his top horse, Biestatique Sam, he's not a huge mover, but, you know, Michael just trains him so correctly that you just can't mark them down. And you know, he really set a new benchmark. In the dressage, and where Michael scores so well is he's just so smooth and goes between movements just so easily, and you know, the judges love to see that.
A little bit of tension perhaps in the first halts.
Yeah, unfortunately, step back, and the judges don't like that. You know, that the question of your entry and halt is partly about immobility. He lost that. Stepping back is sort of showing the horse is not quite so forward. But listen, the judges have been quite kind to him there, I have to say. Yeah, no, they've been quite good to him.
He'll no doubt not complain. So a good solid start to Michael Young and Corazon's test. And
you can just see that this horse is you know, he's still just young. He's perhaps he's not quite as strong as you see some of Michael's other horses, and you can see by that just a little bit long in the frame. But having said that, he is only 8, you know, and hopefully he has a long career in front of him. You know, it just takes a little while to get into that medium trot. And you see Michael's just having to work a little bit more than we're used to seeing him. But again, you know, you can see there, you know, he's nice and smooth into that. Unfortunately, not so square, but again, nice and smooth.
Now, this is a horse actually that was originally bought out and produced by one of Michael's working pupils, Isabel English, who actually is an Australian based over with him on the continent. Now, that must be an incredible experience to have the opportunity to ride horses such as this. You know, I think one of his other working pupils is actually riding here on the horse that he won one of his European titles on in 2015, Fisher Takanu in the One Star. I mean, that is quite some experience.
Oh, yeah, a great experience. I mean, if you want to be good in this sport, it's always good to go and train with the best. And, you know, there's no doubt he's one of the best, well, one of the all-time best riders that we've seen. And, you know, he's still got a long future in front of him, Michael. And he, you know, he really setting the standard. And the rest of us had to follow and get better.
Made you up your game.
Yes, definitely.
Well, actually, just trending sub 30 at the moment. So, seeing a couple of 8s in there.
Yeah, you know, you can just see that wasn't such a good transition. Wasn't really off his leg. Michael had to work quite hard to get the bend because you go from the walk canter straight into the centre line and the half pass, and that can come up quite quickly. And so his horse just lost a little bit of suppleness there. And again, Michael had to work quite hard, but. You know, again, you could see his experience rescue that. Again, lovely and smooth change there. You know, he almost rode that serpentine on sort of little diagonals rather than getting really square to the judge. I'd imagine that's quite a deliberate ploy in him, but, you know, produces a beautiful, soft and smooth change, and I'd expect that to score well.
Certainly trending well at the moment. I'm looking to see what his score comes in for that flying change. If you were to judge him, Sam, what would you have given it?
Oh, I think so, perhaps 7.5.
Okay.
Something like that. 7.5, 8.
Okay.
But, yeah.
Well,
again, it was just nice and smooth and soft, and that's all we're after.
Well, we'll look forward to that score in a second. Don't forget, you can judge along at home on the SAP Spectator Judging app for free as well, and see how your scores would compare to our actual judges' scores. And he's doing a really classy job, isn't he? I mean, I know we expected it from him, but we can't forget only an 8-year-old and very inexperienced at the level.
Yeah, and I watched this horse at as Wiesbaden, and he's definitely come on a bit from there. At Wiesbaden, yeah, I don't think it's perhaps quite as relaxed, but you can, with Michael on board, the horse I'm sure will just get better and better.
He's the reigning individual silver medalist from Stragom at the European Championships next year, looking to go and challenge for the world title a little bit later on this year. But this could be a horse we see a huge amount of in the future, because Michael Young with the very talented Corazon completing their test here. Now this is going to go into the lead, we think, certainly trending 28.9 at the moment. And actually when they finished at 9th in Wiesbaden, 34.8, just added a couple of show jumping time penalties and 5.6 cross-country time penalties on a very, very tight time across the country in Wiesbaden. So one that I'm sure will be looking to challenge for the top 5 here this weekend.
Great. After his dressage test, I'm joined by Niels Treber. Niels, you're making me feel very old. You're just 24 years old. This is your second Event Rider Masters. How was your test? Wasn't the best you've ever done?
No, it was not my best test yet, but my horse is really, really improving at home, and I think it's to come in the future.
You're all about the jumping, aren't you? We're going to focus on those phases.
Yeah, really, the jumping and the cross country is the thing I really like about eventing. And yeah, my horse is really good jumping. I was competing her like international show jumping in winter, like 140 and 145 show jumping. She's really careful and like really, really looking forward for jumping.
And I've just learned you've actually got a day job. Eventing isn't your job. So how do you juggle that?
Yeah, it's not quite easy, but like I work in the office for the German Equestrian Federation, and I have my horses based there. So it's kind of easy for me to train, but at least I have to work 8 hours a day and manage my horses, like 3 I have. And I don't know. It's not like I really would like to do eventing all the time, but yeah, I need to get my money for this sport.
Okay, well, it's certainly an expensive sport. We know that, Niels. Well, very best of luck for the rest of the weekend in the jumping phases.
Well, next to come forward is a young lady looking to get some series points on the board, because she certainly can climb with some more counting scores this weekend. And it is Laura Collett with the relatively inexperienced but exceptionally talented London 52, owned by Laura alongside her longtime supporters Karen Bartlett and Keith Scott. There's a horse actually that comes here fresh from the 2-star at Tattersalls just in May. And they finished 6th with a score that finished on their dressage score that weekend. So they added absolutely nothing to it, which is the aim of the game, and something that I know gets Echo ratings very excited. But this is a horse that has a huge career ahead of him, just a 9-year-old by Landus. And Laura comes forward in some very good international form as well, because she was 2nd at Le Moulin 4-star last weekend. That was with Mr. Bass, who she finished just off the podium with. So 24 series points up to her name with that very good finish at Chatsworth in leg 1 of the series. Now, Sam, this is a horse that's a relatively unknown quantity at this level, but one that's picked up some very, very good results.
Yeah, and listen, as you were saying or alluding to, I mean, Laura's been on fire recently. And, you know, when you're confident, you know, that's just really transfers to the horse. So, you know, again, she's done a really nice start to the test. And, yeah, you know, she's riding the horse nice and forward. You know, and I'd hope the judges really reward that. Again, the angle there is nice and consistent, you know, and really smoothly into the half pass. So, yeah, I'd be scoring this well.
Well, certainly looking to trend to go into the lead at the moment. Michael Young, 28.3. He's our current leader. We've just seen his test, but Laura getting plenty of good marks at the early stage.
You know, and listen, lovely expression there, and you can tell he's he's a big scopy horse, and you know, he's nice and scopy on the flat, which is always enjoyable to ride when you have a horse with that sort of power. That was just a bit of, I think that was a little miscommunication. You know, he looked really immobile. I think there's a little miscommunication there, and so that unfortunately just spoilt that. Again, they're the sort of little mistakes that it just takes a while to iron out. You know, and as these two get better as a combination, I'm sure you won't see that.
But still, very respectable scores from our judges. It wasn't too costly for them.
No, you know, he set a really good tone to the test. You know, he looks really rideable, nice and relaxed, and you know, just making a really nice picture. Again, this is one of the tougher things in the test, is to show a difference in the walk. So you go from a medium walk to an extended walk, and you know, for me, I find that quite difficult to show such a difference in the test, and she's done a good job there. But she's just been a little cautious here with the contact, but again, nice smooth transition straight into canter. So yeah, no, she's doing a good job. And perhaps would like to see a little bit more jump in the canter. But listen, he looks really solid in this. You know, looks like she could do it all day. And so again, I think as the horses get a little bit stronger, that you can show just a little bit more expression in the canter. But again, that's a thing that's sort of time and strength from the horse. Yeah, not so great there, unfortunately. Just got a little bit tight behind there in the change. So, but you know, at least she kept it nice and smooth, and it's not going to affect the other movements.
To like so far from Laura Collett, London 52. That flying change of leg just proving a little expensive from the judge at M, which would be Van der Stewart, marking it as a 4. Perhaps got away with it with the other two judges slightly.
I think the judge is a little split on that, and you know, so yeah.
It's so good to see though that you can go the range of marks from a 4, and then the next movement she's been awarded an 8.
Yeah, you know, she again in the sort of medium extended canter, she showed good change, and the horse looks nice and scopy in his canter work. So so yeah, you'd hope to get those marks. Oh, again, you know, just a little bit of tension coming into there. Again, you can sort of see the lack of experience of this horse. You know, to train the flying changes takes a long time, and to make horses comfortable in it, and to keep things nice and smooth is a long old process. And so, you know, he'll do good changes. He just needs a little bit more time, this guy.
Well, still trending around 30.9 for Laura Collett, London 52. But that's a second flying change of coming in and proving a little expensive. Still lots to like, Derm. And from an echo ratings perspective, we talk a lot about finishing on your dressage score, and this horse is particularly good at that.
Yeah, he's done that in all of his last 1, 2, 3, 4 times that he's completed. He retired in the CIC at Chatsworth. Very similar score in his only other CIC 3-star outing. That was 30.9, and as I say, that was at Chatsworth. But as you mentioned, Nicole, they jump clear. We've been talking about Mr. Bass this week, but London 52, who shares some similar owners to Mr. Bass, is one that they're talking about. Inexperienced for now, but certainly shares a very similar profile in jumping.
Well, lots to look forward to. And Sam, Laura, hugely experienced. I mean, she's still in her 20s, unbelievably. She's been at the top level of the sport for many years, but gave this horse a really good experience in the arena, and I'm sure he'll come on for it, and she'll be really pleased with him.
Yeah, and listen, Laura's renowned for doing a really polished test. Her horses are really well trained, and you can sort of see that. So, and like I was saying, this horse just needs a little bit more mileage, and I think you can see him doing a really competitive test, and then if he's can stay in that dressage score, then yeah, who could be tough to beat in the future.
Tough to beat in the future, certainly. Well, London 52, Laura Collett, they've completed. But our new leader is a man who's won an Event Rider Masters leg previously. That was Jardy last year. And Michael Young is with Hannah.
Yeah, I'm here with Michael Young. You've won an Event Rider Masters leg previously. You had a good test in Wiesbaden. You've improved on that here. That's great for Corazon, a relatively inexperienced horse at this level.
Yes, I'm very happy about Corazon. She tried really hard. It's not so easy to train her for the dressage, but she's a very nice horse, and nice to feel that she's getting always a bit better.
Are we going to see you further up the podium here, do you think, this weekend than in Wiesbaden? Are you going to try and finish on your dressage score, and we're going to see you further up the marks?
Yeah, first is the show jumping on Sunday morning, so I'm looking forward for this. And then we will see how the ground is and everything, if we can go really fast or just have a good round. So I'm not really sure at the moment, but I think, it's a nice event, and I have a good horse, so fingers crossed.
What are your expectations? If you could give yourself a position this weekend on Corazon, in her form, here at D'Arville, what would it be?
Yeah, I hope I'm in the prize giving. I think I'm not really in the top of the front, but I hope we're in the prize giving.
We'll see you on the podium then. Yeah. Okay.
Maybe.
Thanks very much, Mika.
Thank you.
Well, Sam Griffiths has been with us for the first session of dressage. Sam, you've got to go and get ready for your test with Happy Times. Good luck. Thank you for joining us this morning.
Well, thank you. It's been my pleasure.
We'll be looking forward to seeing you later. Don't forget that rain back.
No, I won't.
So we will continue our attention on the final two combinations to go. And the first of those will be a young lady making her Event Rider Masters debut, Ebba Adnovic and Carlos for Sweden. And Ebba actually comes forward with the 16-year-old Bicard Ento that is owned by Henrik Adnovic. 36.8 they trend, or their averages, in the first phase. Seeded 29th in the dressage. Ebba, one of the youngest in the field, just 22 years of age, but very talented. Has represented Sweden at championship level in young riders. At Stragom in 2015, actually finished it inside the top 30 last year in Mill Street in Ireland with this horse in the Young Rider European Championships. And we'll be looking to make an impact in the future, no doubt, on the senior squad as well. So Fred Bergendorf, head coach of Swedish Eventing, will no doubt be watching Ebba's test with interest. Some solid scores coming in so far, trending 36.7. It's actually very close to their average 36.8. Going to challenge our leader, Michael Young, 28.2, but still some solid scores coming in. Just to 5.5 for that rain back. A little bit of resistance, just proving expensive.
Trending in the high 30s, Nicole. CCI 3-star at Sopot was the last time out. 36.9 was their score on that occasion. And looking at their previous tests, CIC 3-star at Vargam, and also the CCI 2-star at Mill Street, CCI 3-star at Stragom, we've always been between 36.3 and 37.9. So we're fairly close to where we've been trending in recent tests. But there is the potential, just based on what we've seen this morning, where some of the averages have been and where some people are, that we can bring that down slightly.
A little bit
40 now.
Tension, just unfortunately proving expensive in the walk, and then again going into the canter transition. So that unfortunately just proving very expensive for Ebba's trending score, which drops to around 41 at the moment. Keeping the canter top of the arena as they come round for the first of these flying changes. And actually a good clean flying change from them. As they come to the extended canter into the medium canter on that half 20-metre circle. And then they come back before the end of the long side to a collected canter. Good to see some sevens in there for that clean flying change. And Ebba just having to work fairly hard, but Carlos actually staying reasonably relaxed. And she would sincerely love to catch the selector's eye. Had that good top 15 result at Sopot, as Stern was saying a little bit earlier on in the long format at 3-star. Would love to get a senior team call-up in the future. She's represented Sweden at junior and young rider level. And actually has a very exciting new ride in the form of Chapia, the horse that actually finished 5th at Barbary Event Rider Masters last year with Pippa Funnel. So keep an eye out for those in the future.
You read my mind, Nicole. I was just in the database to see if it was the same Chapia.
Well, it absolutely is. So a good Event Rider Masters debut in the dressage for Ebba Adnovic, and Carlos should end up with a score being a sub 40 in the first phase, and we'll get a score for her as soon as it comes through.
Well, Laura Collett has just finished her test on London 52. Stable name is Dan, after Gossip Girl characters. That's good to know. Laura, a little bit of tension creeping into that test, but something you're quite pleased with.
Yeah, he's really inexperienced. He's never been in an arena like this before, so although he was a little bit tense, actually for him, it was pretty relaxed, and I think he was just really trying, which for the future is really exciting.
What are your hopes for him for the future?
I really rate him. I think a lot of him, and fingers crossed if I nurture him in the right way, he'll be a top one in a few years.
And what are expectations for phases tomorrow?
Survival. He's a very good jumper, so I'm not too worried about the show jumping, but there's a serious track out there on the cross country. He's never seen anything like it before, so we'll see. He's got to go from a boy to a man tomorrow.
It's certainly a very big course, isn't it? Well, we wish you the very best of luck, Laura.
Thank you.
Well, going from a boy to a man, London 52 will be watching that very closely, but you can just see making the final preparations to her test. So she's just making those final preparations. Victoria Panitz on Borough Pennies. This is her last opportunity to gather her thoughts before she comes round. And actually interesting to see that one of the last things she does in her warm-up will be the halt and a pretend salute for the imaginary judges before she has a final quick word with her support team and heads around the outside of the arena. And this is a combination who are really iconic in the sport. Victoria has represented Italy at the highest level and actually finished just outside the top 10 at the London Olympics with Borough Pennies, who I know has quite a following in the sport because 15 years of age now, was only a 9-year-old when they put in that really strong performance in London and has since been at the top of their game for many, many years. They've actually represented Sweden at major championships in Malmo in 2013. Actually finished 7th at badminton that year as well.
Italy.
Italy? What did
Yeah.
I say?
Sweden.
Sweden? Did I? Good grief.
Yeah, you're right, Nicole.
I'm-
Such an iconic partnership.
I'm glad I've got you here to keep me in check, Jim.
You know you would do it to me. I mean, those big results, of course, not just that one. The winner of Belton feels like a long time ago, back in 2013 now, top 10 at Badminton, top 2 at Fontainebleau, top 2 at Belton. Again, all that time, 2014, I think not being at WEG or that late withdrawal from the World Games in 2014 would have been a very big disappointment to her. That happened just as they were about to go into the dressage arena. It was one of the big dramatic moments of that World Equestrian Games. Burra Penny's now, as we've said a couple of times, a fan favourite, an excellent jumper. I would be expecting sort of 17 CIC 3-star. So, you know, in the top 10, I would say most experienced here. They're averaging 31.5 in the first phase at CIC 3-star level. Their recent test, 32.5, 31.3, 32.5, and 29. All of those coming in Event Rider Masters legs. So very consistent, very close to that, I would suggest, between 30 and 32 area. Looking at dressage this morning, there is the potential that they could drop slightly below that. I would think somewhere in right where we are now, that 29 area is what they're going to be aiming at.
And this horse actually that had 2 Event Rider Masters runs last year, were 8th at Gatcombe, 10th at Chatsworth at the start of 2017 as well. So have good form in the series. And actually owned and bred by Sally Bullen. And this horse has been such a part of the family. Victoria really does think the world just a tiny step back in the halt, but otherwise a very nice picture for our judges. Going into the rein back. Just coming into this walk, which in the 3-star A test, which this test is, isn't quite as tricky or challenging perhaps as some may find it in the B test. No walk pirouettes. They have the halt and rein back for our judges instead. This extended walk across the arena, really wanting good over track where the hind legs land further than the footprint of the front legs. Still getting a very, very solid trending score. And I think this is a real indication of just how good the strength and depth in this field is, because actually we've seen some top names coming forward in this first session. Izzy Taylor, Michael Young, Laura Collett, now Vittoria Paninson, really making their mark in this first session. And don't forget, if you want to judge along at home, you can do so by downloading even the Spectator Judging app in the App Store, free to download, and you can judge along either with the test as a whole or each individual movement should you so wish, and see how your scores compare to our judges. Coming around for this first flying change, a little bit of tension creeping in, but Vittoria held it together. She's a real powerhouse. Burra Pennies. And Vittoria really went for it on that extended canter. Just comes back for the collected canter now before the second of these half passes. And still trending about where you thought they would be, Derm. Now, one of the new innovations that Echo Ratings have brought to us alongside SAP is the opportunity for viewers at home to get involved in a little bit of a game as well.
Yeah, well, absolutely. We were fed up, Nicole, of everybody telling us that we were getting everything wrong. So we've challenged people out there to see if they can beat the outcomes. And some people out there are indeed. The question that we asked is, would Vittoria Panizan score between 30.5 and 32.5? So we're very close to it at the moment. 42% of people said they wouldn't. 58% of people said they would score between those two numbers. The game is called Stacks. Equirating Stacks is what you search for in the App Store. We've a lot of people playing it at the moment, but Nicole, currently leading 5 from 5, Kieran Glynn of Ireland. But there's a lot of familiar names up there. Kimberly McDougall, Kathy Haddon, Sari Weaving. They're all building stacks at the moment. So it's going well. And 33, she's going to be outside. 33.1, Nicole.
Well, we'll be watching this score with interest. Vittoria Panizan, Borough Pennies, just finishing their test here in Arville, which takes us to the end of the first session of dressage here. Quarter of the way through, the first 8 combinations have gone, and Vittoria not going to challenge the lead. I think she might be a little disappointed not to be closer to the 70% barrier there with Borough Pennies, but this is a horse that really does excel in the jumping phases. So lots to look forward to it. And again, we talk about finishing on your dressage score. If Vittoria could do that this weekend, she's going to be close enough.
Yeah, she would be close enough, but you're right, a little bit above where they have been recently. Very good in the cross-country. Jumping could potentially pick up some time on a track like this, I would suggest. And also, she jumps high, as we know, this mare. If the Event Rider Masters time in the show jumping is as influential as normal, she could pick up some time there as well. So going to be a tough test for them to finish on their dressage score. Lots of places to add. That's the same for everybody all across the board. Michael Young looks like he's going to lead from this session.
Well, we'll get a score for Vittoria as soon as it comes in, but Ebba Adnovic makes her Event Rider Masters debut this weekend, and only 22 years of age, Hannah, but she's been really impressing us here in the commentary box.
Yeah, she's certainly a very impressive character. I've just been talking to her and her Swedish coach, Fred. Ebba, you're fiercely competitive, so you're not overly happy with that. But you are in an arena with some of the best in the world. It's an incredible opportunity.
Yeah, absolutely. I learn very much. Yeah. So it's really nice to be here and learn from them. And yeah, I'm happy with my horse. We did our best. So, yeah.
And this is your first event or, first try out of young riders. I mean, it's a huge, huge step up, not just for you, but for Carlos too.
Yes, absolutely. Yes, this is the biggest we've done before. Yeah.
We were just talking about the cross country and what a huge course it is and what an opportunity it is for you to see what you can do. I mean, what are Carlos's hopes and expectations? How is he going to do tomorrow on the cross country?
I think he will do well. He's very honest, and I love to ride cross country with him. Sometimes we're quite slow, but yeah, we will do our best.
Well, you'll be able to see exactly where you are, Ebba. It's lovely to have you here, and congratulations.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Well, this is how the leaderboard looks. 8 combinations of the 32 have completed their test. And it is Michael Young who lead the way on 28.2. Christopher Forsberg, he was delighted with his test. Hippo Sapporo 30.5. Lots to like from the combination who were in the top 15 in Wiesbaden. And we just heard from Ebba Adnovic making her Event Rider Masters debut with Carlos at 39.6. But this is how you at home have judged each of our combinations so far using the SAP Spectator Judging app, which you can download for free in the App Store. And actually, you agree that Michael Young and Corazon should be our leaders. So agreeing with the members of our ground jury. And actually, it would have put Laura Collett down very close to her score, 31.3. So we're agreeing also that Laura would be in third. But being a little bit more strict on Christopher Forsberg and Hippo's Sapporo. But don't forget, you can get involved throughout the day by downloading the SAP Spectator Judging app in the App Store for free. So that is how things stand in the leaderboard so far. We have got so much more to bring you coming up after the break. We will be coming back with some key names because Karen Donkers will be the first to go after a short break. Lots to look forward to. We hope that you can stay with us. EventRiderMasters.tv will be back soon. Well, the first session of dressage here in D'Arville, leg 3 of the 2018 Event Rider Masters is done. And why don't we go and hear from the last lady who was in the arena just before the break.
Victoria Panetson just finished her test. Victoria, how was that? 33.1. You're sitting on the fence a little bit about how you feel about it.
Well, I was thrilled with Penny's. I thought she tried really hard. She doesn't find this phase particularly comfortable, especially now she's a little bit older and can occasionally feel a little stiff in places. But I thought she tried really hard. She just doesn't always look the happiest in some parts, which I feel the judges may not appreciate. But I think that just shows how hard she's trying.
Can we talk about her emotionally? You were just telling me a little bit off air about that. Tell me a little bit about how she behaves.
Well, it's not her favourite phase, we know that, whereas she absolutely loves jumping and would happily jump any time and anything. And I do have to manage her emotions for the dressage because you want her in a good mood. I suppose just like we probably need to be in a good mood, but I definitely learned a long time ago that I need to try and ride her in a good mood. Otherwise, if I'm not in the best mood, she's not going to be in a good mood either. And dressage then doesn't go so well. But to be honest, every time I ride as a bonus, she's so special to me, and every time is special, therefore. And it's her first bigger outing this year, so she's actually very happy to be out, even if her ears may not have shown that in some parts of the test. She's actually loving being here and having a trip abroad, and she knows she's at a proper party, and so she's going to be looking forward to tomorrow.
Okay, well, all the very best of luck for tomorrow.
Thank you very much.
Well, it certainly is a proper party here, leg 3 of the 2018 Event Rider Masters. But here is what is coming up. The Equa ratings ones to watch.
Well, actually, I think we're going to see it straight away. I think Karen Donkers and Jalapeno are probably the ones. Kirsty Johnson and opposition Skylaw have been starting to deliver some very good tests. Last time out was good, and they'll be hoping to follow that up. Won't be long before we begin to see Balmoral Sensations, probably the one I would pick from there. The first phase, the first 2 phases for Balmoral Sensation will be big WEG indicators for that very strong Kiwi team. Treason, again another one, a former winner, and then the final session that we're going to see this afternoon. Tom Carlile is back with Upsilon. Liz Halliday, Fernhill by night can deliver a big test, and the favourite for this leg, Oliver Townend, Kilnabrid and Evo, is going to be there. Second last to go, he's sitting beside us in the studio, NZB Campino. Lots of runs at this level, averages in the mid-20s, and Mark Todd will be hoping to put in a big test later this afternoon as well.
No pressure, Mark. Welcome to the studio. We're
Thank you,
looking
Nicole.
forward to getting your input on the dressage. Your first visit to D'Arville, isn't it?
It is. It is my first visit here, and I must say I've been really impressed. I mean, a fabulous setting, great facilities. Yeah, looking forward to it.
Lots to look forward to. You're second last to go in the dressage at 2:38 Central European time, so 1:38 if you're on British summertime. And we'll be looking forward to your input on the dressage for this next session as well. But now she's ranked inside the world's top 20. It is Belgian rider Karen Donkers with Jalapeno, owned by Chris Stone, who's been such a huge part of the Event Rider Masters series. And Karen herself, hugely experienced, has been to 6 Olympic Games, was actually only out of the top 20 individually on one of those 6 occasions. She's got a huge amount of experience, was actually 5th individually at the World Equestrian Games back in 2014 as well. That was with Fletcher van der Verenhof. You've put up very early on that Jalapeno is going to challenge the lead of Michael Young, 28.2. What do we think we can expect from her?
Well, last time out, Wiesbaden 30.6. And CIC 3-star at Le Pouget also late last year, the converted score for that would be 30.7. So consistent in around that 30s. Looking at some of the scoring this morning, I'd say we're about a point lower than averages. So I'm hoping for just sub 30. Massively experienced rider. This is actually Karen's 90th CIC 3-star and her 32nd international run in the last 12 months.
And Mark, on what you've seen so far, how's it looking to you?
Well, he looks like he's a really calm, relaxed sort of horse. Nothing really flashy, but it's hard to sort of put him down either. I mean, Karen is a very good test rider. You know, she doesn't give marks away. She's very accurate. The horse is keeping a consistent outline. He's in a good rhythm. So, and well, he got was that a 9 there? Oh no, 6.5. It's my eyesight.
I won't make a comment there.
But he's scoring around the between 6.5 and 7 mostly. So he's probably sitting on about 70% at the moment.
And she's certainly bred for the job, because by Chilly Morning, the badminton winner of 2015.
Yeah, he's. Chilly Morning. I've got a Chilly Morning actually, and but they do seem to come in all shapes and sizes. This one a big chestnut mare, but he says little ones, big bay horses.
Well, certainly looking
But a good walk there. Very relaxed in the walk. Actually, Derm, how many runs has this horse had at this level? I mean, because I think Chilly Morning's oldest are probably only about 7 or 8, aren't they?
Well, Jalapeno is reasonably experienced, so 5 CIC 3-star runs, 5 completions, once in the top 5. That average dress, as I mentioned, 30.6, and we're very close to what we've been seeing across the morning, about a point or a little more above their averages or above what we expected. Good jumper mark, 5 clear jumping rounds from their 5 runs at the level, but yet to make the time. That's the big one I'm seeing on stats. It's probably time penalties for Jalapeno that might pull them back down a little bit.
Again, he's in the canter work. He's staying very consistent, showing a good difference there, and a good transition back to the collected canter there. If anything, you'd maybe like to see a little bit more lift and jump in the canter, but she's just very accurate. Good crossing in the half pass there, and just everything sitting on around that 7.5 mark.
and plenty of 8s coming in as well.
Yeah. Very good, the counter-canter there, the rhythm doesn't change. We look for the change here. Very good change, very uphill in the rhythm. Be interesting to see what they mark there. So, I mean, I would say it has to be at least an 8.
We're going to watch very closely now. And if you at home want to get involved, there you go. You agree with our president, Ernst Toppetsy.
Yeah, well.
If you would like to judge along with our ground jury at home, you can do so. Download the SAP Spectator Judging app. You can search for Spectator Judging in your app store for free. Well, an 8.5 for that extended and medium canter. This is going to be our new leader. And Durham Echo Ratings put it up. We'll wait for their score, but I think it's safe to say she'll go ahead of Michael Young.
Yeah, 27.7 in a round before we get those collectives due. We did expect her to lead. The next question becomes, will anyone move past her across this whole session? I would suggest, I don't think so. I don't think so. I think...
Well, I think Polystar, if he's a little bit, can be a bit erratic, but I mean, fabulous mover, and Chris is a brilliant test rider. I mean, that would be one that could possibly move ahead.
Polystar would be very interesting, particularly because of Chris's speed cross country, because it's so influential. If Polystar can stay, I would suggest looking at Polystar's recent test, they may be a couple of marks off, but if they can stay close to them, they're very, very likely to move ahead on cross country.
Yeah. And I mean, the thing is, I mean, this field, it's such a strong field, and a lot of these are up-and-coming horses, and some of them are quite capable of putting up a personal best and going ahead of that horse. And then you've got old Happy Times. He's past his best probably, but still capable of doing a very good test.
Well, 26.8 into the lead. Now, that is a very impressive score, Derm.
26.8. Again, I think what's very interesting this morning, Mark's just mentioned Happy Times. Karen Donker's both of her last 2 tests with Jalapeno have been in or around that 30 zone. But we're looking at a young horse on an upward trajectory who can do that. Happy Times, 30.8, but that's from 22 runs. even if the scoring is a point or two ahead, it's likely to be maybe in the 28, 29 zone and maybe not catch them. As you mentioned, Mark, we saw it with London 52. We saw it with Corazon, so Michael Young and Laura Collett in the first group. The horses that are in that 9-year-old and 10-year-old zone who are making their first or second appearance at the level, that upward trajectory begins to kick in, and it can be difficult to pull insights too early in their careers.
Yeah. No, and Donatian Sholey, I mean, he's always produces a very good test as well. But, you know, we're watching the replays of Karen here. She just never throws a mark away. The horses are very harmonious with her, and I think that's what the judges like, you know. It's all very well having a lot of power and everything, but if it doesn't produce a harmonious picture, it doesn't come across as well.
Well, Karen Donkers goes into the lead with Chris Stones at Jalapeno for Belgium. The home side would dearly love her to take the title this weekend. And 26.8 is the new score to beat. But now we turn our attentions to Kirsty Johnston with WTTL Opposition Skylaw, owned by Kirsty alongside John Flood, Denny Russell and John Johnston. And actually a horse that went really well at Bramham over in England on their last run. Finished inside the top 10 at this level there as well. And actually when they made their Event Rider Masters debut at Blair Castle back in 2016, they finished in 7th place there. So they have some good Event Rider Masters form. And Kirsty, hugely experienced as well. Actually, her mum rode Fleetwater Opposition, the very prolific sire that was the sire of Nicola Wilson's British team horse Opposition Buzz for many, many years. Now, is it difficult, Mark, coming in following a test that's just gone into the lead? Is that a tough place to be? Are you aware of that at all as a rider?
Well, I think, you know, you just can't put that in your head. You know, you've got to concentrate on your own horse, make the best of what you can do with that horse. And I've been really impressed with Kirsty lately. I mean, in the last year or so, she's really improved. She's got some nice horses. I saw her in the 3-star yesterday, and she had a very nice horse and produced a very nice test. And this is a lovely looking. It is a mare, isn't it? Yeah,
it is.
And capable of doing a nice test as well. Maybe lacked a little bit of bend and suppleness in the half pass there. But it's got a very nice uphill frame.
Well, certainly the data follows your comments on that. Kirsty has 18 runs in the last 12 months, so we're beginning to see that experience building. And an Opposition Skylaw 7 runs at the level. Average is 32.7, but what I would note is that last time out, in the CIC 3-star at Bram was 28.4, and that's a PB for them.
Yeah, so I mean, you know, she's improving, but again, like just in the half pass there, I'd say lacks a little bit of suppleness and lost it a bit just at the end. So instead of probably getting a 7.5, yeah, she's down at 6.5. Oh, that was the transitions. But nice and relaxed in the walk. Good over track there. This is a really hard moment here. The horses know they're going to canter, and you've got to pick them up from that extended walk to the medium walk, and that's very hard to keep them relaxed in that. Showing better suppleness in the half pass than the canter here. But she's sitting around the 70% mark as well, and if she can nail this canter work, could easily pull up and get a sub 30.
Trending at the moment to go into around second or third place with a 30. That would put her actually in third. So if she could recreate her 28.4 from Bramham Derm, that would actually see her go just behind Michael Young.
And again, another difficult movement. You've got a short extended canter and then back to medium canter on a half circle and then back to collected canter down the side again. And it's very hard to show clear differences there.
Is that one of the key points that the judges are really looking for, the difference between the canters?
I think so. It's so important to get your transitions correct, but without making them look stilted or hurried. It's to be very smooth but clear transitions.
Does it make it harder on the circle too, or is that a help?
Yeah, well, I mean, most of us go from the extended canter, and quite frankly, all you can do is really slow down a bit on the half circle. The change, you won't get a good mark for that. It sort of jumped through the change there. But I can see how judges can miss a change. Like I just took my eye off the screen for a minute there and I only caught the tail end of it. So, I mean, judging this, you've got to stay absolutely focused the whole time. You can see there she's dropped down in the transitions, not quite clear enough.
Well, the judges did penalise that change of leg, a 4 in there from the judge at E, which will prove expensive, but still a very good test from Kirsty Johnston and WTTL opposition Skylaw. We'll get a score for them when it comes through, but we should be looking to see them go inside the top 3. And trending at the moment 30.5, which would see them just go actually equal with Christopher Forsberg and Hippo's Sapporo. But Mark, you said you were really impressed with Kirsty recently, and actually she also has a ride in the 3-star. She's getting some really good strength and depth in her squad. And there was a huge amount of positives to take from that test.
Yeah, no, it's like the horse can do everything, and now it's just in the detail, putting the final polish on the test, and she could easily be down in the 26, 27 mark with just getting rid of those few little mistakes.
Well, we'll look out for her score in just a moment's time. But Kirsty Johnston and WTTL opposition Skylaw just finishing their test here in the second session of dressage in D'Arville.
Well, we have got a Belgian rider on Belgian turf, Karen Donkers. You've gone into the lead, a superb dressage test. You must be over the moon.
No, I'm very, very happy. Jalapeno was very active and very nice to ride. She's also very relaxed in the ring, so it's a great feeling if you can ride a 3-star horse in a relaxed way through the test.
Must be so nice being in your home country on home turf, is it?
Yeah, it is. And then today, the Belgians who play football, so it's a Belgian day, I guess.
Well, we wish you all the very best of luck for tomorrow and the rest of it. And hopefully we'll see you on the podium, a Belgian rider on the podium. That would be fantastic.
That should be great, but that's still a long way to go. We still have jumping and cross, but a good start is always nice too.
Have you walked the cross-country course?
Yeah, I walked the course. It will be definitely a serious cross-country course. There's a lot to jump. It's very up and downhill, especially in the end. So the horses need to be fit and still scopy till the last fences.
Okay, well, very best of luck. Certainly some big questions for tomorrow.
That's for sure. Thank you.
Thank you, Karen.
Well, next to come forward to see if they can challenge Karen Donkers' lead is Pavel Spizak for Poland with the Banderas, owned by Jodko Marek. This a horse actually 10 years of age. Went very well in Le Lion d'Angers to pick up the individual bronze medal as a 6-year-old 4 years ago and has since stepped up to the highest level of the sport with a good deal of success. 15th in Kentucky a little bit earlier on this year, and a horse actually who were 10th in Wiesbaden on their Event Rider Masters debut last year as well. Now, Mark Todd in the studio with us along with Dernburn from Echo Ratings. Mark, a few moments ago we were just talking actually about how Pavel is based and trains with Michael Young. I'm sure he'll be looking to put him in his place in the dressage. Could like to go ahead of him.
No, I mean, Pavel, he's been on the circuit for a few years now, and you know, coming from Poland, it's quite difficult. They don't have a you know, a big eventing organisation there, but he took the initiative. He's based himself with Michael Young, I think, for the last couple of years, and it's certainly been showing the results. In fact, yesterday, Pavel actually beat Michael in the dressage, which, you know, Michael might be starting to regret it a little bit. This is a very nice horse. He's still only 10, and he's one that's sort of taken our eye a bit. He's a very good jumper as well. And, you know, as we've said, Pavel he's one of these riders that he's had the training now, and he's, you know, it doesn't happen overnight, but gradually we've seen him improving. The marks are getting better. The horses are showing the benefit of the training, and he's really producing some nice work.
They were so close to producing a fairy tale finish for Poland at the European Championships on home soil last year. Unfortunately, not able to compete in the show jumping on the final day, which held them out of contention for a top 10 finish. But 1 second over the time over a very tough Europeans cross-country track would certainly put them in good stead over a tough cross-country track here in D'Arville as well.
I mean, one thing I've noticed about this, you know, it's a big open arena here, but the horses have all appeared really relaxed. We haven't seen, you know, sometimes you can get in an arena and there's a lot of atmosphere and you can see the horses are a little bit nervous and being a bit inattentive, but so far most of the horses here we've seen have looked very relaxed in the arena, which is great. It makes them so much easier to ride when they are relaxed.
Does it help? Obviously, you have the arena familiarisation, but actually there's another arena that's parallel to this arena, and when the horse before you is in, you get the opportunity to work in that arena. That must be a big advantage as well.
Yeah, it is. And you know, sometimes with the horses, you know, it's when they have to leave the familiarity of the warm-up arena and their other friends and walk through an alleyway, and then suddenly they're completely on their own. Whereas here, as you say, the horse that will follow is next door to them in the arena, so they don't feel sort of left alone.
A good flying change, an 8 there from Ernst Top at sea, and that sees his penalty score drop below the 70% barrier into the 20s. He's been getting some good marks in this canter work.
Yeah, and that half pass is very good. Good rhythm, good crossing, good bend. And the horse is keeping a good rhythm. Nice uphill outline. I think of all the tests, this is the easiest way to do the change, where you do the counter first, then a true canter, back change onto another true canter. Very good change there. I mean, that's got to be worth at least an 8, I would say. It was balanced, it was uphill, it was in the rhythm of the canter.
Well, Judge at M agrees with you. E not so sure.
No, and I don't know. What they would want to get an 8. Probably a 10 in everybody else's book.
Well, certainly still some good scores coming in and a good final halt to finish. So trending 28.9. Now, 28.2 is Michael Young's score. Mark, do we think actually he can sneak ahead of him again?
Well, possibly, actually. You know, as we've said, with these scores now, with the coefficient, the scores are so close. Michael's riding a young horse. I think this is only its second 3-star. This horse is an experienced horse. And although Michael, as we all know, is an absolute machine across country and can virtually ride anything fast round a cross-country course, he may not want to put his foot down that much yet on a young horse, whereas this horse, with the more experience and mileage, he might be prepared to go for it. But it all depends on the show jumping. We show jump first. If he jumps clear, then, you know, they're going to want to have a go.
Watch this space. Well, absolutely. So Pavel Spizak and Banderas for Jodko Marek, the owner, completing their test. We'll get a score for them as soon as possible, but should go inside the top 2 at the moment. For now, though, let's go to Hannah.
Yeah, thanks, Nicole. I'm here with Kirsty Johnson. Kirsty, a good test from you. You're pleased with that. WTTL Opposition Skylaw did well.
Yeah, I'm very pleased. She's a little flat today, but generally, I can't complain. I'd much rather have a flat test than one with lots of mistakes.
Now, you were inside the top 10 at Blair 2016, I believe, but you've knocked out some great performances recently. Like, a lot of people have some quite high expectations of you. What are the expectations of yourself?
I'm just going to have a great time, to be quite honest. I'm quite looking forward to the cross country. It looks a lot of fun. It's a little bit like an arena eventing around a longer track. So I wouldn't want to be sat on anything else but her, to be fair. So yeah, just have a bit of fun.
And traditionally, she's very good at cross country.
I'd like to say yes, but I'll tell you maybe Sunday evening.
Okay, let's have that conversation then.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, well, very best of luck.
Thank you.
Well, just the final preparations taking place for Ludovica Manzoli, Pinup Mai. And actually, Mark, we were talking a few seconds ago, this is the opportunity that riders get to actually ride in an arena that's very similar. It's right alongside the actual arena they're going to do their test in, and you can take every advantage of it.
Exactly, yeah.
Well, a score in for Pavel Spizak and Banderas, 28.1. So he does just sneak ahead of his trainer, Michael Young, who drops down into third on 28.2. Twice in 2 days.
I know. Michael's clearly doing too good a job. He'll have to watch himself.
He'll have to keep a very close eye on him a little bit later on, and particularly in the jumping phases. Now, though, it is a young lady making her Event Rider Masters debut, Ludovica Manzoli. For Italy, one of two Italians in the field, Pinup Mai, the horse that she brings forward.
I think we'll have to rely on Derm to give us some background info on this one. I don't think I've seen her before.
Well, she's only, I think, 22 years of age, 21, 22 years of age, and actually went very well at young rider level for Italy. Finished 14th in Verano in the Nations Cup on her 3-star debut a little bit earlier on this year. That was her 3-star debut, and also the debut at the level for the horse. So relatively inexperienced, but actually have had a good amount of young rider championship experience under their belt. Top 25 in Mill Street last year.
I mean, it's great for these young riders to have that experience, but when you're stepping into this sort of arena, it's a whole different ball game, and it takes a pretty strong personality to sort of keep the nerve, keep the calm when you've got, Michael Youngs and all the rest of them in the warm-up arena and what have you. But she's started off well.
Now, they averaged 32.0 in the first phase, so they've started off about on a par with their form at this level.
The difficult one there, Nicole, is it's only one run, so we've been asking people on stacks. I don't think anybody knows really which to expect. We asked people on the stacks game as to whether they would be able to score below that. That's their only test, 32. 83% felt they couldn't. But as Mark mentioned,
it looks like a mare. She's quite long in the back.
Correct. She is.
And that makes it a little bit more difficult for her to sort of get a hind leg underneath and get that lightness in front. She just looks a little bit sort of on her head sometimes. But keeping very smooth and not making any mistakes. But you'd just like to see a little bit more lift and energy. You're right. That does get a bit chilly here.
There's certainly a pretty strong breeze. You would probably say fairly ideal conditions for the dressage. It's fairly overcast, not too sunny.
And we see she's riding in a double bridle. She's only typical of the Italian girls. She's pretty petite. So that double bridle maybe just gives her a little bit more control and keep the head up.
Well, trending 34.2 at the moment, so not going to challenge the leader of Karen Donkers and Jalapeno. But if you would like to get involved at home, then don't forget you can download the SAP Spectator Judging app for free in your app store, and you can judge each individual movement, or you can judge the test as a whole and see where your favourites rank against members of our ground jury.
You can just see there in the canter, it's just sort of tipping onto its head with each stride, and the judges won't be throwing the marks at that. The horse needs to be much more on its hind leg, but I think it's a little bit the way she's built. She didn't get the change there either, but she just didn't have a good enough canter before the change.
And along this long side now, that is the extended canter coming back to the medium, isn't it?
Yeah, and so it wasn't enough in the extended, not really enough in the medium, and no real clear transition there. So, you know, she's not going to get good marks for that, you know. But it wasn't bad, but it'll be a safe 6 probably.
Well, certainly plenty of 6s. 6.5s creeping in throughout her score, and she's trending in the mid-30s, which would see her go into around 10th position at the moment.
But you know, the thing is, you know, she's 22 years old. This is her second go, and she's making a fair fist of it. And you know, it'll be a tremendous experience for her. And that was a much better change there. But still, with that change, not really collected enough in the canter to get a really good mark. Somebody like the Serpentine gave her a 7 and a 7 for the change.
Sometimes with the new scoring, and particularly in an Event Rider Masters class, when you're surrounded by the talent that you mentioned and the talent that we've already seen, that 35.2 score could look a little bit disheartening. But when you begin to think about what it was in the old system, that's a 35 would be a 52.5.
Yeah.
As a young rider in your second CIC 3-star, if you're just in around that 50 mark, you've just missed the 40s. I still think that's something you can be pleased with.
Yeah,
There's progress there, but
she'd be very happy with that, I would say, because the horse stayed very calm and relaxed, and like I say, it didn't make any really bad mistakes. It just needs to be a bit more together, a bit more uphill, a bit more collected.
Well, making her Event Rider Masters debut, Ludovica Manzoli for Italy, one of 2 Italians in the field. We've seen them both doing their dressage now. We'll get a score for her in just a second, but looking likely to go around the mid-30s, so into around 10th place on the leaderboard. But we'll be heading towards Sam Griffiths, the Australian, who was in the commentary studio with us a little bit earlier on today, in just a few minutes' time.
Been put into second place by the judges, but he's also gone into the top spot according to the SAP Spectator Judging app. So all the spectators here think you're the one to watch.
Oh, it's really nice to hear that. I tried just to do my best, and it was a really nice time for me during the dressage, and I'm really happy with this.
And you've got some amazing form previously. You had a top 15 at Kentucky, you had a top 10 last year at Wiesbaden. What are your expectations?
Well, good to see that you at home, actually, on the SAP Spectator Judging app, agreeing with our ground jury to an identical score, both marking Pavel as 28.1. And he understandably delighted with that test. But now we turn attentions to happy times with Sam Griffiths. Sam, who was in the studio with us a little bit earlier on today, comes forward with his own, with Dinah Posford and Juliet Donald's 19-year-old by Heraldic, 19 years of age now. I mean, Happy Times has been a stalwart at the highest level of the sport for many, many years. Competed in London back in 2012. Actually has 7 top 20 placings at 4-star level as well. And headed to Wiesbaden in Germany for leg 2 in the series. Finished inside the top 20. So Sam, very experienced, and I'm sure he enjoyed watching a few of his fellow competitors in the arena a little bit earlier on today. And he was another that actually commented, Mark, on the atmosphere and how horses were actually coping with it pretty well.
Yeah, and you know, with Sam, we've got the completest opposite of the rider before, haven't we? And that's just what's so brilliant about this series is it gives a young rider an opportunity to compete against Sam and this horse. And as Nicole's already said, you know, 19 years old, there's nothing this horse hasn't done. And Sam, one of the more senior riders.
Sam has 77 CIC 3-stars under his belt, and Happy Times has 22 of those.
Just wait until he tells you how many you've got, Mark. Are we going to do a comparison, Derm?
It's in front of me actually. It's right here.
I wouldn't have a clue.
You're number 3 in the field. CIC 3-stars, Oliver Townend 194 in the last 10 years, Izzy Taylor 152, and Sir Mark Todd 114.
Busy chap. But it is huge credit, to be fair, to Sam's team that Happy Times, 19 years of age, still out competing at the top of the sport and looking absolutely fantastic for it.
Yeah, no, he doesn't look like an old horse, does he? He still looks supple. He still moves well. That's that movement there, the Rainback. It's 5 steps, and I think he might have done 5.5 there. Very hard to control. It's hard on the angle we're looking at. It looks like the quarters were trailing a little bit in the half pass there, but it may just be the angle that we're looking at it from. But certainly in the half pass, the horse needs to be fairly parallel, not the hindquarters trailing behind.
Well, we're very close to what we would expect from Happy Times, and this gets interesting in terms of a horse plateauing at a certain level. CIC 3-star at Blair Castle, actually with Shane Rose, was a 30.1. At Chatsworth, which with Sam, it was 30.3. The last 2 tests, or their last test, I should say, Wiesbaden, 33.2. That sits as an outlier, that 33 score. We're probably about here is where we expect, with the potential to perhaps gain an extra mark on their averages today.
Yeah, I would say probably the canter work would be stronger than his trot work. So he's well capable now. If he can get good marks in the canter work, drop down below that 30 mark. The Serpentine there, we've got to try and make 3 equal loops. He's just squared off that circle, but got the change, but it sort of lacked a little bit of expression and was a little bit short maybe. So, I mean, I think if he gets 7 for that, he'll be very happy. Yeah, one gave him a 7 and the other 6, and I think that's probably fair enough. It needed to be a little bit more through in the change.
It would be a prime example, though, if you get 7s throughout, you are on a 30. And actually, he's pretty much had 7s throughout.
Yeah.
It's been very consistent.
Yeah. Just the canter's starting to look a little bit laboured there.
Well, people who are playing stacks are beginning to get nervous, Mark. The question was, would they beat their average? 30.8 is their average. So no more mistakes allowed.
Yeah, no. Still sitting on 7s there.
5 for the flying change, though.
Yeah. 5 and a 7. It's a very different opinion, isn't it? And it was interesting there because I was watching the change, but I couldn't quite decide whether it was clean or it had changed a little bit early in front. And so, I mean, this is, I think as a judge, it's very hard to sometimes. It's where you need the immediate action replay.
Yes, exactly. If only. And they also they're sat at different parts of the arena, so they see it from different angles as well. So what you see from one angle, you won't necessarily see from the other.
One of my, I have to write an article for Horse and Hound, and one of the things I've got to think of things to do, and judging dressage is always a topic of discussion. And one of my suggestions was, why don't they sit in booths watching it on TV? Because you get a much better picture seeing it on TV, and then there's no argument that they don't see it from a different angle.
Well, that's their angles at the moment. President Ernst Top at C, and at M is Van der Stewart from Ireland. So we'll get a score for Happy Times and Sam Griffiths in just a few moments' time. Just a couple of later mistakes, actually, that crept in, Mark, in his canter work, particularly with the changes that actually proved a little bit expensive.
Yeah, and then, because he made those mistakes, it'll then influence the marks at the end, the obedience and the suppleness and even the rider mark. So.
Well, we'll wait for those submission marks to come through. But Sam Griffiths and Happy Times are completing their test, looking to be in the early 30s, which would see them going around 7th position. And it should be 31, we believe, for Sam and his long-time campaigner, Happy Times, who really has been to every single of the biggest events in the world, competed in Olympic Games in London, numerous 4-stars, has been at the top of the game for a very long time. So 31 for Sam Griffiths, 8 from 2 judges for Sam's riding, and we'll hear from Sam a little bit later. But in the meantime, let's go to see Hannah, who Hannah's caught up with now.
Yeah, Nicole, I'm being blown away here by 21-year-old Ludovica Manzoli, who this is only her second 3-star event on Pin-Up de Mai, but what a great test you did. The horse has loads of experience.
Yes, it's 4 years I've been riding her. Since my junior, I did junior championships with her and 2 young rider championships, and this is just my second 3-star. So I'm really pleased with her and happy with her behavior. There are lots of things still to work, but for the moment I can be very, very happy with her.
And how does it feel competing at this level with the world's best riders?
It's a dream. It's really a dream. It's the competition everyone would like to be at, and I'm living my dream, so I just hope to do the best I can.
And what about tomorrow? Expectations jumping across the country?
I actually still don't know. So jumping, it's not very easy with my mare, so I need to try to ride her as the best as I can, and then we will see.
Well, you've been super impressive today, Ludovica, so very best of luck.
Thank you very much.
Well, the future of Italian eventing certainly bright, and I'm sure we'll see a huge amount more of this young lady in the future. Now, though, we turn to one of the top French combinations on the circuit, and is Donation Choly with Pivoine des Touches, owned by Donation alongside Anne-Sophie Choly. 15 years of age, this mare. Actually went well at Chatsworth a little bit earlier on this season. Finished in 27th position. Things didn't go to plan in the show jumping, so a steady cross-country round. But actually, 28.9 they scored at Chatsworth. So if they could get close to that again, they would go inside the top 4 here in D'Arville. And actually were one of only 2 combinations to finish on their dressage score in Jardy last year when they finished in 7th place. So lots to like from this combination.
Yeah, very, very good rider on the flat, or a very good rider in all 3 phases, actually. One of the top French riders. And this mare, again, capable of doing a very good test. But just not the biggest mover. You saw on the medium trot there was just lacks a little bit of the flair of some of the other big moving horses, but he will ride a very smooth and accurate test. And again here in the extended trot, I mean, the mare just can't do it. So, I mean, for me, it's really a 6. But you see there, good hold, not perfectly square. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 steps, and then straight off into trot. Shows good angle and bend in the shoulder in there. And again, I think, you know, you're talking about the angle of the judges. I think, again, it looked like the quarters were trailing, but I think it's the angle that we're looking at it from. And it's all these little things like the transition from the half pass, then straight into walk. It's got to be very smooth. And here in the extended walk, the judges really like to see the horse stretch his neck. A bit like a walk when the horse is out on a hack and he's walking home and he's really sort of relaxed and stretching out. But in the competition arena, it's very hard to get that unless the horse is very relaxed. Good transition to the canter there. And again, he's going to be wanting to get 8s for his canter work, isn't he, to pull himself back.
He absolutely is. And this is a horse actually that has been really experienced because was actually competed at Po 4-star back in 2013, finished inside the top 6, and then has had a bit of time with injury, had some time off, so missed an entire 2 years of her career and has since come back out at top level.
But, you know, this is what's great about this series is, you know, we've seen Sam with Old Happy Times, very good change there. You know, he's 19 years old, but he's still got it. This is a great series for these older horses.
And actually, you know, we talk about the strength and depth, and we're seeing these horses coming forward. One of the first things you said, Mark, was it's one of the strongest fields we've seen in Event Rider Masters. You know, those horses with championship experience that have competed at the very, very highest level of the sport.
Yeah. He's starting to get bit better marks in the change, in the canter work, sorry. Mind you, didn't get very good marks for that. He's not going to be going a PB on this horse today.
No, well, over this is his 9th test at this level. So 9 CIC 3-stars, averages 32.1. Although I did expect him to be a little bit lower. I did expect him in the 20s today. His last 2 tests, 28.9, 27, and actually before that also Event Rider Masters, Jardy 29.2, where he went on to finish 7th. So he has been in the 20s. There was definitely the potential to go into the 20s, but every mark that you drop here, it's expensive.
Yeah. No, it's just been like the trot work wasn't expressive enough, and the canter works had probably too many mistakes, and so they didn't like that serpentine either. Got 6s there. You can see in the halt there, the horse sort of just thinking about correcting itself, and yes, you do want them to correct, but you don't want them to keep going. They've got to halt and stand still.
That is the immobility part, isn't it? So, well, perhaps a little bit of disappointment for Donati and Sholi with his test. Pivoine des Touches not going to be able to recreate the 28.9 they scored at Chatsworth a little bit earlier on this season.
No, but again, I suppose we should just bring ourselves back with that context. It is, it is somewhere in the kind of mid to high 40s in the old system. Disappointed, but not devastated, I would say.
Well, we'll wait for their score very shortly. Pivoine des Touches and Donati and Sholi.
And let's not forget this is a 3-phase.
Well, Sam Griffiths from Australia is here. He was a man of multitasking today because he was in the commentary booth a little bit earlier and now just out on happy times. 19-year-old Sam, you have an amazing ability to get the best out of horses at whatever age they are. Having a 19-year-old here is extraordinary.
Oh, listen, he's a horse of a lifetime. I mean, he's an absolute star and he loves it coming here. And so, yeah, I'm going to keep him going as long as I can.
And are you pleased with your test?
I think give me a couple more years. I might make it a bit better, but no, to be honest, a little disappointed. I mean, he worked in beautifully. I think he was just a little bit flat and felt his age a little bit out there, unfortunately. You know, I was hoping to get right into the 20s, but today just didn't quite go my way. So, but I'm still pleased with him. He tried really hard.
I mean, he loves an atmosphere, and there isn't a huge amount of atmosphere here. It's pretty quiet, pretty chilled out, isn't it?
Yeah, perhaps that's what he was thinking. Perhaps he wanted a bigger crowd. Yeah, no, listen, it's got a lovely feel to it, this event, and yeah, no, really nice.
Okay, well, best of luck for the rest of the weekend, Sam.
Cheers, thank you.
Well, he really is a superstar of the sport at Happy Times. And Sam Griffiths, as next to come another superstar of the sport, also from Australia, Chris Burton Polystar, owned by Trisha Rickards. And actually, we just see Chris put his hand up. That is because he has specially choreographed music to accompany his dressage. He's taking this very seriously. Am I right in thinking, Mark, you did that previously as well?
I have, and I think I'm doing the same music again today, but I haven't actually practiced it on this horse.
Okay. Well, Chris Burton and Polystar coming forward. This accommodation who actually went really well in Wiesbaden a little bit earlier on this season as well in leg 2 in the series. Finished in 8th position there, scored 34 in the dressage on that occasion. And actually, this is a horse that missed the 2017 season, spent some time doing some pure show jumping, but has previously won at this level. And of course, Chris Burton, 5th individually at the Rio Olympic Games, a part of that Australian team who won a bronze medal as well. He is a man not to be messed with, isn't he, Mark? He's a very, very good jockey.
Very good jockey. He's very good in all 3 phases. And, you know, he won't be holding back in any phase. You know, you'll see, like in this extended trot here, he'll go for it. And the horse has got the movement and the paces. Just wanting to sort of duck down a little bit there, which is not good in his head. And not quite square in the hold. Now we look for 5 steps. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Very good there. Oh, walked into the trot and then went to break. So he'll be marked down for that.
It's a shame because, I mean, there's plenty of 8s coming in. He's trending to go ahead of Karen Donkers, who leads on 26.7 at the moment.
Yeah, he's dropped down there. I think Judge at Sea was quite generous for that at 7.
I think he came out of that reasonably well.
Yeah.
All things considered, he's still in that top 2, top 3 area, Nicole, 27.7. What makes this very interesting from 2 points of view for me. Number 1, if he stays in this zone, he's got a much better speed record on a very influential speed track from what we've seen so far. Number 1, I think he would become a favourite if he stays in the top 3. Anywhere near this 27.7 zone keeps him in there. He can move past Michael, he can move past Karen, and he'll keep up with some of the ones later to come.
Does he have a good show jumping record, this horse?
He has a good show jumping record. Yes, he picked up time penalties at Wiesbaden, but other than that, he's cleared no penalties in his last 4 runs before that.
Chris Burton was not happy with himself that he'd picked up time penalties in Wiesbaden. I don't think he would make that same mistake here. And actually, the horse has show jumped internationally with Irish international show jumper David Simpson as well. So has a good amount of experience in that second phase.
And interesting enough, Nelson Pessoa has been helping the Australian riders, and Chris has been going over there and riding a few show jumpers for him, so he's been getting lots of practice. Good change there.
Well, the last rail Polystar had down internationally was actually Fontainebleau back in 2016, but they did have, of course, that gap in 2017, so you're still looking at 5-6 runs now, clear jumping.
And now we're seeing that's the second 9 that we've seen there. Lots of 8s, lots of 8.5s. This score is going to really start to drop.
And see, what helped, I don't think his change was maybe any better than some of the others, but he's such an elegant looking horse, and he he gives this uphill picture, and it just makes the judges want to give you a good mark. It was a little bit slow to get into the half path there, but then when he did, it was good. This is interesting choice of music he has. I can't quite pick out what it is.
Trending on a 25 mark. This is where things get very interesting, because now we're now starting to look at those fractional marks, which could, if you finish in this zone, begin to separate out fairly big pots of money when we come to Sunday evening. The difference between a 25 a 24.7, that could be crucial when it comes to Sunday, because when you're in this zone, you're now talking about potential winning the competition zone.
Exactly.
And don't forget, he's in with a shout of the series, Nicole. He's on 19 points in the series. So a big result here would give him the momentum to really push for the overall series crown as well. So a big moment here, 24.7 right now, going into that final zone.
Good halt at the end. Just didn't quite keep the immobility, but I'm sure they'll forgive him for that.
Well, Chris Burton and Polly Starr, they have laid down their challenge here in the first phase. They're going to go out in front. The question is going to be by how much, because the collective marks from the judges still to come in. I think he looks pretty happy with that mark.
I would say he'd be very happy with that. And, this is, as Burns pointed out, the scores are so close and there's big money up for stake. And this is, the riders and have become so professional. The whole thing has become so professional. There's been a lot of discussion about judging, and we need to make sure that the judging is up to the standard for the competition as well. And I mean, so far, I say it's looked pretty good.
Well, a 9 in there for Polly Starr's paces.
Yeah, this is what I was saying. If you've got a horse that naturally moves like that, you're several points ahead right from the word go.
Absolutely, and we're waiting for some of those more collectives to come through, because this is going to be a huge score for Chris Burton and Polly Starr. We're looking around the 24 mark, we think, for him at the moment. And that is a huge difference on their Wiesbaden mark down.
Well, we mentioned horses who, I suppose he probably wouldn't have been happy at all with the Wiesbaden test. 34 that day, to come out and take 9.7 marks off it, to move from a 34 to a 24.3, incredible turnaround.
More than 10 marks down. 23.6. Chris Burton, Polly Starr, they have laid down the challenge. Will we have an Australian topping the leaderboard by the end of the weekend here in leg 3 of the Event Rider Masters? There's his final halt. And that is the nod and the salute of a man who I think will be very, very happy with that performance. You guys at home also agree, 25.8. You judge him as leading in the audience stakes as well. Don't forget, you can get involved on the Spectator Judging app. You can download it for free in your App Store. But Chris Burton, Polly Starr, 23.6, Derm. Can they now be beaten? And if so, who by?
Oh, yes, absolutely they can be beaten, because my first thought on that is, if Polly Starr can do that, well, what will we likely see with an Upsilon or a Kilnabra Nevo? Cloud Dancer, Campino, Chico Bella, all of those coming late on, all of them trending mid-20s already. What I'm off to see now, Nicole, is where that test sits in the ERM history. That may start going into the top, I would suggest, top 15 type area of tests. You're looking at me like I'm wrong.
I'm going to say he's going to be higher, because he was very close to Ingrid and Oliver's score in Wiesbaden. I'll let you get to making your sums, and we will introduce the final combination to take us to the lunch break in Brazilian Olympic combination. Marcio George and JCR winner. And this a horse that actually only stepped up to this level at 3-star at Chatsworth a little bit earlier on this year. Finished at just outside the top 10, but actually was 8th at the test event for the Rio Olympics at 2-star level back in 2015. And of course, Marcio has some very good form in the dressage, with Lissy McWare having set that hugely impressive score at Barbary a couple of years ago, which held on to the record until it was beaten by Thomas Carlyle and Upsilon at Barbary last year. Now, Mark, I know that you know Marcio well because you've trained the Brazilians for some time, haven't you?
Yes, I trained them leading up to the Rio Olympics, and this is a relatively young horse. He had 12 months or so off. Yeah, he had a leg injury, but very talented, super jumper. He will be capable of doing a very, very good test one day, but maybe he's not quite ready yet. But Marcio's just taking him along. He's hoping to get him qualified for the Olympic Games, for the World Equestrian Games, so that he's got him probably as a reserve horse to his other horse, Colonel. But lovely little horse this, and I think he's got a big future.
Nice start.
Yeah, Marcio's a very proficient rider. He's a doctor, actually an anaesthetist.
I was going to say, when we talk of riders with talent, not only is he an Olympic event rider, but he's got a degree in medicine.
Yeah, he actually had a proper job. But he's taken time out. This has been his lifelong dream and his passion to come to England and train and compete. And he's making a very good job of it.
I mean, he moved his entire family over from Brazil, didn't he, to base themselves over here?
Yeah. His wife and two girls, they go to a school just down the road from us. You can see here he's got the potential. He's got good movement there, and he's getting good scores too.
Well, 31.8 they scored at Chatsworth on the horse's 3-star debut, so that would only be their first. So he's very much on a par with that at the moment.
Yeah.
It's a little bit expensive, that Holt.
Yeah, I mean that's the greenness at this level. The Holt wasn't good, and the Rainback wasn't good, and the Move Off wasn't good, and suddenly you're looking at fives and six, and that's when your score just starts to disappear. Just like to see a little bit more stretch in the horse's neck there, but
sort of coming down as opposed to, or going out as opposed to down.
Yeah, it just needs to be a little bit more open in the neck. But like I say, very, very difficult to do that and then get them back for a medium walk and then canter, because they're anticipating that canter. I think he's quite green in the changes yet as well.
Okay, so we've got 2 changes still to come. And sometimes when a horse isn't overly experienced in the changes, is it about giving them confidence and trying to get the best out of the situation?
Well, it's about, he actually did a very good change there. It's about preparing, having the preparation, getting the canter right, presenting them for the change in the best possible way, and then giving your aids in the correct time to get the change. Be interesting to see what the judges thought of the change.
He got 2 6s and a 6.5 or a 7, I think.
Yeah. But for a horse at this level of experience, he's doing a good job. Hasn't got the smoothness, it hasn't got the the obedience of the horses getting, that are in the lead, but he's got the potential to get there, and it's only.
Oops.
Well, that's really wasn't a good change. I'm afraid that'll be a 3 or 4. I think his canter just got a little bit backward there and not in front of the leg.
2 5s and a 4.5. He'll be pleased that you weren't on the ground jury, Mark.
Yeah, well, I would say he's fairly lucky there.
Well, it doesn't do too much damage to his penalty score as to where it was trending before that problem with the change, as Marcio George for Brazil, the sole Brazilian in the field. 11 different nations represented, comes forward in his final halts. And JCR winner as he salutes our ground jury. But Mark, a lot to like from a horse that actually we'll probably see a huge amount of in the future.
Yeah, no, I mean he's got a lot of potential, this horse, and like I say, he's very new at this level. It takes him a wee while, and it takes, he probably needs another 6 months training before he's ready to produce a really good test at this level.
Well, we'll just get the opportunity to say the second of these changes, Mark. So just talk us through this.
Yeah, I see he's just going a little bit backwards and stops and.
Was
actually,
it a clean?
It wasn't late, no, but it was very
extravagant.
Yeah. So maybe I can see now maybe a 5 was.
Now, as you were saying earlier, if judges had the replay option,
exactly, yeah,
that would make their lives a lot easier. But
Yeah.
of course, they have to make that split-second decision. Now, just talk to me here, because that would be the FEI steward who was just going over. What's she doing there?
Well, she's just checking that the bits that he has in the horse's mouth are legal, that his spurs aren't too long, and
that happens after every test, doesn't
and
it?
if they wear their ears on their the fly shield on their ears, they take those off and make sure that they've got nothing. You can't put the things down their ears to block out noise.
So, and every combination gets checked by the FEI steward. Marcio, you're absolutely fine. 33.8 into 12th with JCR winner. But one man I imagine is exceptionally happy, Hannah, is now talking to you.
Yeah, I do think he is pretty happy, Nicole. A superb test on Polystar. And I must say, I have a massive girl fan crush on Polystar.
He's beautiful, isn't he? I love the horse, actually. So we're thrilled with him today. And yeah, hopefully his owner, Tricia Ricard, is at home watching. Hello, Trish. Much better this time. Really pleased with him.
Yeah, I mean, Wiesbaden, you had a top 10 result, but not a great dressage test. This sets you off on such a great start.
Yes, of course it does. Makes me a little bit nervous because he's had a history of running out this guy. He can be a bit naughty, but we still love him, and hopefully that's been a long time ago and he's forgotten.
Now, you've walked the cross-country course. What do you make of it?
Yeah, it's really tough. A lovely track and beautifully built, and I'm looking forward to having a go at it.
Well, we're going into the lunch break now. You are the current leader. Let's see if anyone can pip you to the post to that top spot. But certainly the spectators at home on the SAP judging app, they've put you in the top spot.
Oh, that's nice to hear. I'll enjoy it while I'm here.
Okay, very best of luck, Chris.
Thank you.
Well, how long can he stay there? There he is at the end of his test, wife Beck and son Harry, who was born last year, comes and watches him and supports him at lots of events, and I'm sure he would love to be on the podium at the end of the weekend as well. But this is how things stand at the halfway stage. Chris Burton for Australia, Polystar out in front, 23.6, hugely impressive from them. Jalapeno and Karen Donkers, 26.7 in second. Pavel Spizak Banderas completing the top three, 28.1. But you at home actually agree that Chris Burton, Polystar, should be our leaders. You've got involved with the SAP Spectator Judging at 25.8. You judge him at home. A little bit harder to impress than our ground jury here, it must be said. But still, if you would like to get involved, you can download it for free in the App Store. Laura Collett, London 52, really talented 9-year-old for her, 31.0 sees her in 8th. That's a little bit of disappointment for Donati and Choli Pivwan de Touche, and we've just seen the Marcio George and JCR winner, 33.8. So that is the leaderboard as things stand at the moment, but let's go back to Hannah.
Yes, I'm here with Marcio George. Marcio, ERM debut for your horse. Are you pleased with your test?
Yeah, I'm very pleased. He's quite a young horse. He's still green.
It's his second competition at this level. I'm quite green. He works hard. He tries anytime. Thank you. I'm very pleased.
And what about the phases for tomorrow? Is he a good jumper?
Yeah, he's a good jumper. He have a show jumping breed, and normally he did clear out. We will see tomorrow. Competition is competition, and the cross country is quite technical. It's quite hard for him, and we will see. We'll see.
Okay, well, we wish you the very best of luck, Marcio.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Well, good to hear from Marcio after his test, as let's just take a few moments to review what has happened this morning, because we are halfway through the competition. This is our leader, Chris Burton, Polystar, out in front. So, Mark, let's just take a moment. What was it about that test that has made it so impressive?
Well, I mean, for a start, you know, the horse is appealing to the eye. You know, he's a black horse. He's good looking. He's got a lovely front on him. He when he comes into the arena, he gives you this very elegant picture. And Chris is a lovely rider. You know, he sits very well. He looks very elegant on a horse, and the horse is very obedient. It shows good suppleness. He was regular in his paces. I think, you know, he can still do better. I think, you know, it is a test that is beatable, but, you know, you're going to have to be very, very good to beat it.
And he's going to be good in the next two phases as well. Echo Ratings have long been putting Chris Burton up as one of the fastest riders in the world. That's for no reason. That's not for any reason.
That is for no reason.
You know what I mean. That's for very good reason.
Yeah, no, absolutely. He's going to be one to watch across the next two phases, but not just the speed cross country, also the jumping. Straight after lunch, we're going to have Francis Whittington. Look at the experience coming after lunch. Francis Whittington, Hasty Imp, we know well, and also Shannondale Titan. He's more runs at CIC 3-star level than any other horse in the field. Olympic top 10 Balmoral sensation we're going to see soon as well, so that's going to be interesting. Your dressage record holder for the Event Rider Masters, Tom Carlile, gets us started with Upsilon. Haven't seen as much of him recently, but we will be expecting a big test from him. Can he go past, or can he lead all the way through that? I doubt it. Oliver Townend will do a big test. Liz Halliday will do a big test. All of these riders are trending mid-20s. Mark, last word to you. What can we expect from Enzo B. Campino this afternoon?
I'm really not sure, because he wasn't supposed to be in this class. He was supposed to be having a quiet run around the 2-star, but my other horse pulled out, and he hasn't actually had a run since Pau last year. He had to have a little operation in the spring. But, you know, he's 16 years old. He's very experienced. He is well capable of doing a good test, and well capable of doing all three phases. But because, you know, he hasn't had that run, I'm just not quite sure at this stage. Okay. So
watch this space.
Maybe coming in fresh will be the key.
The key. Well, Mark, thank you very much. We've loved having your input throughout this second session of dressage. We have got lots to look forward to this afternoon, because the top two groups of seeded dressage combinations are still to come, and we'll be back after a short lunch break to bring you all of the action. The first to go will be Francis Whittington and his Event Rider Masters specialist, Hasty Imp. They'll be in the arena at 12:30, but make sure you join us at 12:10 Central European time. That's 11:10 British summertime, because my word, you won't want to miss any of the action this afternoon. The question is, can Chris Burton hold on to that top spot?